Cheers, successful 2023.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'll talk about whatever. My life's all kinds of crazy.
Hit the bell!
Because you have an Android.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Just suck.
Just subscribe already. Yeah, so I have ADD.
Same.
So like that's where my biggest problem is. And I love books. Like I have all these books back here. Like I buy them because I want to read them. And a lot of them I start.
And then you don't.
And I don't. I get started in a book. I'll start any book.
Yeah.
But I just have a hard time sitting down and reading them because with ADD, when I sit down to read it, like if anything else is going on, I'm like, what the hell is that? Like I'll be reading like a page and then I'm like looking over, or I don't even have to look at it. If I just hear it, now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
And my ADD just let me walk off, and I can still read the words without actually intaking what I'm reading.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. Like I'll read and I'll be reading, but I'll be thinking about something else. Mm-hmm. And then Naja, she likes to read, and like she'll just sit there and read for an hour. I'm like, what is it like for you? She's like, I'm envisioning, like I'm putting a whole picture together. Like this is like a movie in my head. And I'm like, that doesn't happen for me.
Sure.
Like
No,
I'm just thinking about other shit, and
Yeah.
that's not how it computes in my brain. So I've just kind of given up on like trying to read. I'll do the audiobooks, and it's short segments of the audiobooks. I liked what Drew talked about. You know, like I'll go out and I'll walk and I'll listen to it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I have to rewind. I haven't quite gotten into like the 2x speed or anything like that, but I got a friend of mine that does that too.
I can't do that.
Yeah, it's too quick.
Yeah, with ADD, it's not going to work out. That's not the problem. The problem is actually focusing on it while you're intaking it. Yeah, what I've started to do, and I don't know if this is the best method, but I've started to, any book that I buy that I think I'm going to like, I will buy it, and then I'll buy it on Audible, and then I try to do things where I have like a long period of time where I have to just, like I worked on my parking lot the other day at my gym, just painted the lines.
Yeah.
It took me like 6 hours. But that 6 hours, I was able to put my headphones on and just, I'm painting lines, and I can't do anything else. And I did get distracted a lot of times. Now, sometimes it was something I would learn in the book, and it would like spawn my brain, and just, I'm like, okay, now how can I apply that to what I'm doing right now? And like try to start thinking of ideas. So then like half a chapter goes by, and I'm like, oh crap, dude, you're not even paying attention to the book anymore.
Yeah.
But that, and then I'll do that, and then I'll also read the book after. So it's like I just like subconsciously listen to the book, and then I'll go home whenever and I can read it. So when I'm reading, it's almost like a refresher a little bit, or vice versa. Like if I start reading it, I'll still start the book over on the audiobook, so that way I can take it in from like hearing and take it in from reading.
I've heard of, I think it was actually maybe Rob Bilt that mentioned it, where he's listening and reading at the same time.
I couldn't do that.
Like he's listening as he's reading the book, and I'm like, that's actually kind of smart.
Do you think you could do that?
I don't know.
I couldn't do that.
I don't know.
My brain would because of the pace I read at sometimes.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll read a sentence, and I just didn't understand the way they were talking. Like I didn't understand what they were trying to say in the sentence, so I have to like reread it and understand the context of whatever is going on in that sentence or maybe the paragraph.
Right.
So I think if I was trying to listen to it, I'd be pausing it a lot. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. So I go back.
Yeah. I noticed I was on it was one of our mastermind calls, and I picked up one of my kids' fidget spinners, and I just was naturally like using it. Mm-hmm. But it was like something about, for guys like us, I think that's like, it stimulates us just enough to like focus, because if not, like I'm fidgeting around like I'm doing it now. I'm turning in my chair all the time, and I'm like always moving around. Like there's something I need to be doing to stimulate in order to like focus.
You'll see a lot of times like on the podcast, I'll have I used to have silver coins here, and I would like just play with the silver coins in my hand, or like if I'm drinking, I'll have like the bottle cap, and I'll just play with the bottle cap in my hand, and like I don't realize it when I'm doing it. Like it just keeps me focused, so I can talk. But then when I'm rewatching the podcast, I'm like, damn it, what was I doing? I'm playing with,
like a kid.
Or I'll catch myself like half an hour in the podcast. I'll have the bottle cap, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get rid of this.
Yeah. Thing. How much audio did this pick up of the bottle cap?
Right. You cool just hopping into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
I might even just, if it's picking up okay, I might just
think so.
leave all this in.
Okay.
One thing I will say, for the listener's sake, the closer the mic is to you, the better it sounds. So like,
Let me readjust just a little bit then.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Because if it's out here, it just
Yeah.
gets hard.
No.
The close, and I'm not. These mics are awesome, so they do help out a lot. But I just try to let everybody know, the closer it is, the better.
Perfect.
And I'm kind of just letting the. I used to do like introductions in my podcast. Like I used to be like, hey, this is, Joe Schmo, and he's on the podcast today, and this is what it is. And I just didn't really like the way it started, so I kind of just like let it go into it. But today on the podcast, we do have Justin. Justin, I didn't even. Is it Petrovic, or how do you say your last name?
Yep.
Is that really it?
Petrovic, yeah.
Dude, some last names are hard to pronounce, and I'm like, I never know, and we never met each other.
Nope.
This is literally our first time meeting.
Yeah.
Like most of my podcasts, so I never even get an opportunity to like hear your last name or something, and it's tough. I always feel so bad when I mess someone's name up.
It's okay. I'm used to it. So.
Is it like, I guess a lot of people have problems with it?
So apparently I say it wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So not just East Bosnian. My last name is it's Eastern European. So it's I'm gonna mess it up. Petrovic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could see that.
So when I pronounce my last name, she's like, "No, that's wrong." And I'm like, "Okay, well, we've been saying it like that for the last
Who says it's wrong?
Eastern Europeans, Bosnians."
Okay. Have you been there before? Like
I've
actually
never been there. My grandpa's from Yugoslavia. Great grandpa, sorry.
Okay, so he was first generation.
Yes.
He's how you ended up in the States.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You plan on visiting ever?
We would like to. I'd like to travel. I mean, she's
Where's
been
that
back.
at on the map?
Eastern Europe.
Oh, okay.
Southeastern Europe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Southeastern.
Croatia is near it. Let's
I was
see.
like looking at the map right now behind you, like trying to picture it. So like if you're at Italy, is it completely east to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
That'd
cut
be
this
cool.
part out because I don't know what I'm looking at.
Well, have you ever been out of the States at all?
Never.
Never?
Never. I've never. Dude, I never really did a whole lot of vacationing because I was at Boeing for 9.5 years.
So you're just working all the time?
I was burning my time in shitty ways where I was, I'd take off a half day because I didn't want to work. But I just never, we didn't get a whole lot of vacation time in order to travel. And I was never the type to, work an entire year to save up all my vacation time so I could go do one big vacation.
I agree. I can't do that either, man.
I was never like that.
I will say, though, I got a Southwest credit card.
Yeah.
And because I've gotten more interested in traveling, because I grind so much, and then I don't even realize that I'm grinding this much, and then I'll be burnt out, and it'll just hit me like a brick wall, and then I'm like, oh, I need to take a trip. So now I realize once a year I need to go on a trip and just get away, and I like the beach, and so I went to Miami one year, I went to Naples another year, which is like as far south in Florida as basically you can go. And I like to adventure, so I try not to go to the same place twice. At least not now. It's like if I'm flying somewhere, I just fly somewhere new.
Yeah.
And so, so I realized that I'm spending all this money anyway through my business and crap. So why don't I get a credit card and get some points? And if I could get a free flight out of it, it'd be worth it to me.
Yeah.
And I got it in January. You have any credit cards? You use credit cards?
We do. I think we use Amex, and maybe gives us some travel points.
Okay. So I got a Southwest credit card in January of this year. So it's 6 months from there. In 6 months, I've earned, I spent enough money to earn a companion pass. So now someone can fly with me for free. I didn't even know this existed. Did you know that existed?
No, but I need to look into this now.
Yeah. It's at 135,000 points. You get a companion pass. So I had booked because I want to get into conventions too. I always look at conventions like they're a lot of fun. And my product idea I have, I want to start I don't want to go to the conventions. I want to be selling products at the conventions. That sounds fun to me. And it was Drew that told me about FinCon, and it is a financier's podcast. It's a finance podcast convention, which I didn't know about either.
Yeah.
And it was Drew that told me about it, and I looked it up, and I'm like, I'm going. So I got it. It's in October, but I booked a flight for that. I got 2 tickets, me and my girlfriend. And then this was like 2 months ago, whenever Drew's podcast was, it was the day after that. And so I paid for both of those flights with points. Yeah, I paid for them with points. So I spent, I think it was like 25,000 points a ticket for me and then her as well. And then just this past week, I earned the companion pass. And so I call Southwest and I'm like, hey, can I get my points back? Because I put her as my companion. I'm like, can I get them back even though I paid for the ticket like 3 months ago? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So I got 25,000 points back. I'm like, cool, that rocks. And at the day after I got the companion pass, Southwest was having a 40% off sale. And I was just like looking on there. Well, actually, she's got a sister out in Cleveland, so we're gonna go. She's wanting to go visit, and it was $80 for a ticket to Cleveland. So like, this is so cheap. Yeah. And I only fly Southwest. If I have the option, I try to only fly Southwest. Yeah. I just trust them. I'm not big on flying. Southwest seems like they're pretty good at not crashing, so I try to stick with them.
Yeah.
But I was just, when we were getting the ticket to Cleveland, I was just looking on there. I'm like, what else is on here? 40% off. Well, Maui was on there for a ticket to Maui was $190 or 11,000 points. And I'm like, is this real? Like, is this not some scam? And then I looked into it, and I was able to, 22,000 points, which I just got 25,000 back for the ticket to New Orleans. For 22,000 points, I'm flying to Maui in December, and it cost me nothing.
Yeah, that's insane.
It cost me nothing.
Yeah,
like it was like it.
Send me the link to that.
it seems like it just seems unreal because she flies with me for free now.
Yeah,
and so I only had to pay for my ticket, and then she flies for free. And then I actually bought a friend a ticket too, just because I had points.
Gotcha.
I was just like, hey man, you want to go to Hawaii? Because I know he's never been to Hawaii.
Yeah, especially for that cheap.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, he's going for free basically.
Yeah.
He's like, we're gonna split a house. Yeah, it's cool. It's crazy, and the points, they don't go as far as you think they go. No. Like, it's basically like it's $1 for $1 for everything I buy. So like I have to spend $25,000 to get 25,000 points, but. So it basically cost me $25,000 to get a flight to Hawaii.
Right.
Or the points for it. But at the end of the day,
stuff you're spending anyways.
I was spending it anyway. So it just makes sense to do it. And there's probably better credit cards out there. When I got it, I was just like, I just want points. If I could pay for a flight, I'll be happy.
Yeah. I know that's what Naja typically gets because, we've gone to a lot of conferences over the last year, and we're typically buying those flights with points.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
But you guys don't have you don't know about the companion thing?
No, we haven't always flown Southwest. We flew Delta not too long ago, and that was pretty sweet. Just because they had the headset and the you didn't have to buy internet. They just had the TV and everything in the headset.
So Delta's actually better?
I liked it. At least the Delta flight that we had. So
you got a what? A headset for what?
Just in the headset there's a TV that you can watch, and they had different. It was almost being able to scroll through Netflix.
Yeah, and all for free.
Yeah.
Southwest definitely doesn't have that.
No, they just have internet that doesn't work half the time.
Right. I do know my credit. I've never used it, but my credit card also I get 500 Wi-Fi credits or something like that.
Gotcha.
500, some type of Wi-Fi credit.
Yeah.
I don't really honestly. I love flights because it's my time to read.
Yeah.
Because I have to sit there and I can't do nothing else. So I have to sit there and read.
I remember you mentioning that. Yeah. Even then, I'm still in my head. I can't read it.
Really?
I'd rather watch something. That's how I take in my content and learn.
Do you watch a lot of TV?
No. What
do you do in your evenings?
Great question. Now we're on a TV show, but before it was just a ton of YouTube content.
Yeah.
Like learning. That's honestly where I learned a lot of the real estate stuff was just YouTube. I was just binge watching YouTube and content like that.
Is that where you found Brandon and Bigger Pockets?
So.
Well, I want to just for the
Okay.
listeners to know, Justin here, and from what I've gathered, you and your wife have 26 short-term rentals.
We're not married, but.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You and your significant other.
Yes. Yeah.
That's you guys' thing. You guys started getting short-term rentals.
Yes. We have, let's see, because not everything's a short-term rental, but we're at 30 units right now.
Okay.
So.
Is short-term, is that your focus?
Yes. Yes, up until this point. We want to pick up a little bit more cash flow. So that's kind of a long story. So right now we're pivoting a little
time,
bit.
Man.
Okay. So we got into it. Should we start with how I got into it?
Yeah,
that'd probably be a better start.
Beginning.
So Naja and I, who let's see, how do I make this?
What got you into it? Who was it
Naja?
Wow.
Naja did, yeah. She was the one that originally, because I was super into. First, I found Dave Ramsey, which I heard your opinion from the last
Yeah.
podcast,
He's
which was
good
funny.
for getting you out of debt,
He's perfect.
in my opinion.
He was great for me at that time. And then I was just like investing. I was at Boeing. It was my 9 to 5 thing. Had a 401k.
Yeah, when you say investing.
Yeah, just like separate brokerage
This
account.
is my ADD thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were investing in not real estate at the time.
Correct. Separate brokerage account. I was just like dividend investing. I was like
Gotcha.
picking stocks and like just doing like the thought of compound interest like just gets me going. Like it.
The traditional investment.
Yeah.
For most people, that's where that's their extent of investing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then where you go from there?
Okay. So from there, Naja and I, we hadn't been dating for very long, but we like went to grade school together. So when we started dating, we were like, okay, this is it. So for us to make a jump to real estate pretty quickly, it was, probably acceptable. I wouldn't recommend anybody that's only been dating for like 6 months to go buy property together, but
It's a little,
it's a little risky.
It is risky. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, because that's going to be one of my questions is what happens if something doesn't work out?
We have LLCs and operating agreements. We're like more married than some married couples.
Okay, so you guys got it figured out. You guys plan it because a lot of people don't plan it and it gets messy.
No, we didn't do that. So
okay, but where'd the idea come from?
Okay, so it was from her. She talked about she comes from an immigrant family, so they were super like risk averse, debt opposed.
Like her parents are first generation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's first generation. Her parents moved here when she was like 6 years old. So they had a war in the early '90s. So they're first generation. They lived in Germany for a little bit, then they came here, and so
she's German.
She's Bosnian, but they lived in Germany, for a little bit, and then that's when they immigrated here. So, them growing up, they were very, just pay off debt, don't have debt. They didn't use credit cards a whole lot. So she just saved up a ton of money. She was living at home till she was like 29. It's one of those families that's just kind of their demographic is like they have multiple generations in one household, small, tight families.
Yeah. I feel like that's pretty traditional.
Yeah, it's really, I like it. I think it's really cool.
Not a bad way to save some money. Right?
And that too, yeah.
Stay at home, guys. Yeah, stay at home, buy rental properties, and save that money.
Yeah, keep saving.
That's a great way to do it.
Yeah, so she was talking about putting like a 50% down payment on a house, and then like moving into that, getting a roommate, and having the roommate like pay for most of the mortgage. Oh, yeah. And just like paying it off.
Yeah.
And then eventually moving out and getting like putting a tenant in there. And for me, at first I was like, that's a terrible idea. Everywhere that we rented, we tore up because, we're a bunch of idiots in our early 20s and we just tore up the properties that our friends rented. So I thought it was a terrible idea. She kept mentioning it and kept talking about it. I was like, yeah, but dividends, you don't got to touch it. You don't got to mess with it, this and that.
Right. Safe.
And and then I had a friend of mine who his mom's got like a 35 unit trailer park, I think that's like paid for, clean and clear. And he was just, he's been in that for a long time. He's kind of seen like the cash flow from that. And he's like, dude, this is a cash cow. And then somehow I think I was telling him about what Naja was wanting to do. And then he just came to me one day. He's like, dude, you should check out this podcast. And it was Bigger Pockets.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I listened to Bigger Pockets for like 2 episodes and I was hooked.
Yeah.
I was like, they started talking about appreciation, depreciation, all these different terms. And I was like, oh, wait, like this is a really good way to build wealth. And, just I already have the
your friend
investing
recommended
mindset.
Bigger Pockets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my friend from work, his name's Sean.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because at some point, if you're into rental properties, you're going to fall across Bigger Pockets. I think I had 3 or 4 properties before I came across Bigger Pockets. And it was just like I had read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I knew some other people that had some rental properties, and I was just thinking, I'm like, man, cash flow a couple $100 on it right now, and then whenever you retire, like pay it off, you go to retire, I got $600 coming in.
Yeah.
Like that's how my brain worked.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know nothing.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like such a stupid way to go into it. Like I did no research. I had never read a book. I knew nothing.
Yeah.
Like I didn't watch any podcasts. I didn't listen to any YouTube videos. I knew one person that had rental properties, and they basically just were like, yeah, just get a tenant and put them in and have them sign a contract. They pay you rent every month.
Yeah.
You fix everything. That's all I thought at the time.
I didn't look at it. I looked at it way more short term. You know, I'm like, because I was thinking as it like you needed to have the house paid off. I'm like, why do you want to buy $100,000 house to only make like $700 a month?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's crazy. You know, that's so much time. But you know, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad after, you know, getting into bigger pockets. But once you know, it kind of clicked for me when it was like the bigger your portfolio, you know, the more debt pay down, the more appreciation you get. I'm like, oh, you can actually get a hold of massive wealth this way.
Yeah, you can.
So that's where, you know, I think you said something with, maybe it was with Drew, but you're like, oh, this is how I was going to get rich quick. And for me, I kind of thought the same thing.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Do you still think that way?
No,
or do you plan on shifting gears somewhere else?
So I guess it's a good segue really to the short-term rentals because, you know, we were shopping around. We ended up, we found a duplex. So I sold my house that I was living in because I just had equity in that from buying. It was a total accident. I bought a house that was like an REO, so it was bank owned. It needed work, but it was where I wanted it to be at. It was on acreage. It was a decent sized house. So put like 10 grand in it, fixing it up. So I forced appreciation.
Yeah.
You know, which, like I said, total accident. And that was my house I lived in for 5 years. I bought it in 2015 and then sold it in 2020. So
in the market just went up too.
yeah, I mean, the house almost doubled in value.
Yeah.
So
just, you bought it at the right time, got lucky. Just bought it right. Just got
totally.
lucky.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So,
So your first place, you had already been listening to Bigger Pockets. Your first place you bought wasn't a short-term rental.
correct.
It was a duplex.
Yeah, it's a duplex where we live now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then at what point did you decide short-term rentals is the way to go?
So really it became, we were putting in offers, interest rates were starting to come down pretty aggressively, so prices were going up. You know, I sold my house, we got the duplex. And
How many you got at this point? Like what? Like before you hit the short? Like, and also I got two questions on this.
Okay. We'll pause a little bit. Let's get the questions answered.
How many? I want to. You can answer them both. But how many rentals did you like long-term rentals did you have before you decided short-term rentals is the way to go? And what made you? What made you decide I want to do short-term rentals now?
Okay.
Was it just being in the market, or was it like? Yeah, what made you, or was it something that you're reading? Like, were you like, is Bigger Pockets talking about it now? Because I don't follow.
Yeah. So first question. Our first one, I think we had about 6 units, but that was only 2 buildings. So we had about 6 rental units before we got our first short-term rental.
Like a quadplex and a
duplex? Yeah. We bought the duplex. That was like our house hack. And then we bought.
Oh man, I love it.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do it.
And then we bought a quadplex that was also like a FHA house hack. So that's not to utilize that one. And I know we picked up like an auction property too around the same time that we bought our first short-term rental. But so yeah, really we only had like six doors at the time. Mm-hmm. But where we were at was, like I said, interest rates were coming down, so it was harder and harder to find cash flow. Because at first, like, we were trying to strategically buy and use like the low money down, like home loans. You know, like I was going to use an FHA next because technically when we bought the duplex, I was a renter to Naja because she owned it. I rented it, and then now I would qualify for using an FHA on another 4-family.
Yeah, I love it.
So we were trying to plan like 3-4 different houses down on how we could utilize, because I was okay with, staying a little bit more liquid and not having a ton of equity in the property. I just wanted control of the asset. So that's kind of how we started to do that. And then it was getting harder and harder to find cash flow because, some of the 4-families that we would offer on, that they wouldn't cash flow. People were coming in with 1031 money and they were paying, $50K over. Yeah. So
interest rates are down. The payments were getting cheaper on the places. People were like, well, I'll pay more for the property then. Right? Because this is 2020. Right? This is when interest rates were so low, everybody's paying way more.
Right. Yeah.
So, okay. So what'd you do? So this is this is the pivoting point.
Yes. Yeah. This is kind of the pivoting point. For her 30th birthday, I was like, well, I know she liked to she's gone to like 20 something countries. And I was like, okay, let's go to Eureka Springs, Arkansas. And she's like, why are we going to Arkansas? What's down there? So we went to Eureka Springs and then we went to Bentonville. And while we were down there for that trip, and just kind of sparked an idea. You know, I was like, I seen how much infrastructure had been built around cycling down there, you know, a lot because of, I guess, Walmart. But just seeing like how much the real estate exploded down there, and it kind of put me on the idea of short-term rentals. And I knew of a mountain bike park down in Ironton that was being built. So I was like, let's check that out. You know, let's see like what this town looks like. So like when I got back to work, like the next week, I was just browsing at work and I found a property that had been sitting for like 3 months. It was like priced at $86,000, sitting for 3 months. And I'm like, and keep in mind at this time it was like 2021, nothing was sitting for 3 months.
Right.
So I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. What was wrong with it?
Yeah. I was like, what's going on with this?
Yeah.
So the agent that we use in St. Louis, she ended up calling that agent. She's like, doesn't seem like anything's wrong with it.
Is Ironton in Missouri?
Yeah.
Down south.
Yeah, it's by Johnson Shut-ins and Elephant Rock.
Oh, okay.
And yeah.
So the idea and the cycling was big down there too.
Well, they were building the mountain bike park at the time. So that's
okay.
So like seeing Bentonville and then just knowing they were building the mountain bike park, I'm like, maybe this town has some potential for decent short-term rentals.
Yeah.
And we were like, you know, we had never done it. I didn't do a whole lot of research on it. I had heard about it just from watching YouTube and listening to Bigger Pockets and stuff like that, but it wasn't something that I really knew a whole lot about. Mm-hmm. So we went down there, and I had no idea how to like analyze a property. I just looked at it like, okay, it's an $84,000 property. It's going to cost roughly this amount to furnish it. Here's our note. You know, here's everything that we got to do. If we rent this out, like what's an absolute worst case scenario? Like we're going to rent it out on average 5 times a month for, you know, across a 12-month period. And I'm like, well, I think my numbers was like, we'll make like 10% on our money. And I was like, that's the stock market, or that's better than the stock market. Really, that was like a 10% dividend.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yearly.
at the time I'm
You're
thinking
making 10%
dividends. So I'm
yearly?
like, man, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm like, man, I'm getting like 3 or 4% from like AT&T or something like that.
Right.
So I can put it in this house that's also going to appreciate. I can get depreciation on it. And, you know, I'm like, I've got the equity capture, and then I can also, I've also got the cash flow. So it just worked out. You know, I kind of lucked into that one too, I guess.
How long you finance that? 20 years?
That was, no, I think it was 30. I think we did 30.
Oh, because you must have found a way to, like a personal finance of some kind. Because isn't business loan, or yeah, it's like a
No, they're
rentals.
they're regular. It's a 30-year amortization. It was like, I think we did 10% down on one and 15% down on the other.
That's
one.
right, because you can have up to like 10 loans before they, or 9 before they
Yeah.
start considering it a commercial loan.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, but I mean, you just start going commercial. So these were like the fixed rate, like residential side of that, like residential side lending. So that's where you get the 30-year fixed.
Gotcha.
So these, we just did it that way where I think I talked with the bank and we were able to like get them to do 10% down on the one.
Yeah.
And then so we're under contract on this. I'm researching the area a little bit more, and I see other like Airbnbs down there, but they, you know, they look like they're grandma furniture, you know, their cell phone photos, and they're not that great. And I'm like, I think we can beat these people.
Yeah.
And
Now, do you do any remodeling?
at that point, we were just getting into remodeling. James's wife actually came down and remodeled.
Oh, really?
The bathroom for us
Cool.
down there.
Cool.
Yeah. So they stayed down there with us for a couple days and helped us remodel the bathroom down there.
Stayed in the place?
Yeah. Yeah. Because so what happened is we bought the house right next door to it too. On the day of closing, I went down there for the final walkthrough. I saw the house that was next door. It was for sale at a cheaper price and it was in better condition. And I'm like, we should fucking buy this too. So
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So now you got both properties.
yeah, so now we got those two next door to each other. We got those up and going. And
Both like a single family style house.
yeah, they're both like just small, like 1,100 square foot, like 3-bed, 1-bath houses.
I would love to see it like after the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
Like show
yeah.
me a picture. Because like the short-term rental, I've always been interested in it.
Yeah.
And that's a big reason why I've gotten out of rental properties, because it was such a struggle to get a good long-term rental.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, it's just like, I felt like I was just doing so much work, watching the market all the time, never even getting close to 1% rule. And it was just kind of like one of those things I was like, I ended up starting a business because you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, but have you read Cash Flow Quadrant?
No, I have not read that one
dude.
yet.
Dude, you need to. I'm telling you. It's a big one for me. Definitely a big one. And Yeah, I read Cash Flow Quadrant, and that's what changed my mind.
Yeah.
Like that was definitely the book. I read it twice. And I listened to it like multiple times because I was painting cars at the time.
Okay.
And so I had 8 to 12 hours a day painting cars. Nothing else to do because I could be in the booth for half an hour spraying, and then you have to wait for coats to dry, everything like that. So lots of downtime. So I just had headphones in and I'm listening.
That's kind of that's similar like what I was doing when I was at work. You know, I just had headphones in all day. I'd go out to the shop if I had to do some work, and it was just headphones. And instead of Cash Flow Quadrant or Rich Dad Poor Dad, it was just Bigger Pockets.
Yeah.
I was just listening to Bigger Pockets and any sort of like real estate content that I could get a hold of at the time. I was just soaking it in like that. They taught a lot of the same lessons that I ended up reading in those books.
Sure.
So.
Well, I guess it all depends on like just what people want in life too.
Yeah.
I've always had like an entrepreneurial spirit, and so I was always pulled towards business, but I never honestly thought it was in my playbook. Like I just never thought it was like something I could reach. Rentals seem crazy too.
Yeah.
I mean, owning my own house seemed crazy, and then I ended up buying rental properties, and yeah, I don't know. I always had an interest in it, so like to buy a book and just listen to it is no big deal. Like it's like I could see. I didn't really know what they could give me. Like I didn't know like what kind of potential could be in it, but I'm like, in my eyes, I'm like, why can I not just Google this? Like, why is what's in these books not on a podcast? Why is someone not just like talked about it, like broke it down like step by step on a podcast, or like why is it not more consumable out there? But I'm like, screw it. It's the next book in the line. I had other people recommend it because I told them I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read it. I was hooked.
Yeah.
And then I just kept reading it, and I'm like, this guy makes sense. Like I think I'm just going to try. I'm going to try to do it. And so that's when I started deciding because I was miserable at my job.
Yeah.
I hated
me too.
it. And I wanted to do rental properties, but I think what made me realize was I flipped a house one year. I bought a house and just fixed it up and sold it. And I made more money in that one house flip than I did the entire year working painting cars. And it was a hustle. And I also realized that I didn't want to be painting cars anymore because that was hard on me, but I also didn't want to work on them houses all the time.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed real estate, but yeah, just cleaning toilets out and replacing toilets, or like just doing the piddly stupid stuff, it just gets old. And I enjoy the rental properties. I enjoy providing housing for American citizens, but I was just like, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I don't know if this is like I don't know if I want to be Grant Cardone. You know, like that's what I always say. Like that's at one time I thought I was going to be the next Grant Cardone or the next Brandon Turner. Yeah. And then I started to like think about it. I'm like, man, there's so many other things that I would enjoy to do. Cause at this time I started getting into YouTube, and I enjoy making content. And this is what I'm like, I wanted market. I like marketing, and I want to make ads, and I want to make videos, and I want to try to like be involved in that atmosphere. And it's like, well, how can you do that with rental properties? Like, there's not really the need for it. Like, a rental property kind of does its own thing. You just put it out there, and people are going to call you like crazy to get in it.
See, it's kind of funny you say that because Rob Built, who's now like the co-host of Bigger Pockets, that's all he did. He just was like, here's my journey in real estate. He just recorded goofy videos of him working on stuff and like built his YouTube channel up like that. Got a huge following.
See, I don't know him. For some reason, I know Brandon Turner.
Rob's newer to the co-host.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's David Green, and then there's Rob Built.
Okay. Because maybe I need to start looking into it more.
Yeah.
Like, start watching it more, because I think I would enjoy it. But yeah, I ended up just falling into business, and like I just really enjoyed it, and I made 100x what I did.
Yeah.
A month, like I 100x like a month from real estate.
Right.
You know, I was paying my house, I was paying for trips. I'm actually surviving and doing pretty well in business, and still to this day, my real estate still won't keep me afloat. Like if my gym flops, real estate is not going to do it for me. I'm going to have to go get a job, or I'm going to have to start another business kind of thing. And so that's kind of where I was like, I enjoy real estate, but I think it will always be a side hustle for me. I think it'll always be like something I invest in on the side, but I'm not going to give it my attention anymore.
Right.
But I do like I do like the short-term rentals, mainly because I like the idea of having, like, I want to be able to buy in different states, like like Gatlinburg, or maybe like Fort Lauderdale or Texas or places I want to go visit. Do you have anything like that?
I mean, the stuff in Ironton, that's what we thought we were gonna do.
Yeah.
Is like, I was like, I love mountain biking. I will buy these and go down there and mountain bike a couple times a year. I've never done that. So, and we've thought about going out of state. We just haven't really had to. We've found other deals that are close enough to where we haven't had to do that. And then, honestly, when it's your investment, you don't really want to go there because it's work.
Yeah, and then you're just uncovering crap too. And
Yeah.
Oh well, this curtain could be fixed. Or,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, you see things like that, and sometimes it's just easier not to go and look at it.
Yes. Yeah. Until we're like going and planning like a handyman day or something like that. Yeah.
So the small term, or I don't know why I keep saying small, short term rentals, do they cash flow better?
Way better.
Way better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just break down numbers on those small ones first.
Okay.
So
let's do the 86,000 one.
okay. So we ended up purchasing that for like 83,000. We're just gonna do both because I know numbers for both. I don't know exactly what each one cost. So the other one
They're both short term rentals.
they're both short-term rentals. They're both like 3-bed, 1-bath houses. They're both in like decent shape, but needed a little TLC. Like Jessica came in, did the tile and everything. We did we painted, cleaned up a lot of stuff. Didn't do anything major. Replaced some light fixtures and stuff like that, just to kind of make it feel a little bit more modern.
And fully furnish it.
And fully furnish it, yeah. So I call it like our startup cost, which is like furnishing it, down payments, some of the other odds and ends stuff. But that was about 40,000.
Dang.
Yeah. So it's, I
You're
mean,
120 in it at this point, basically.
well, 40,000 for the both of them.
Oh, both houses.
Both houses were 40,000.
How much did you pay for the other house? You got
76,000 for the one, and 83,000 for the other.
Okay.
So
That's
one of them was like
$20,000 each.
one was on like a 10% down payment. The other one was like a 15% down payment. So listeners can do the math on that, and then whatever it costs to furnish.
Let's just average it out at 100K each.
No.
Less?
Wait, what are you talking about?
Like total investment.
Total
Total
investment?
investment with your down
40,000.
payment.
40,000.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking like in the total investment, but out of pocket.
Out of pocket. Yeah.
Yeah, out of pocket.
Out of
you
pocket.
only have
Yeah. Out of pocket. We
40,000
got
between
40
the
into
two.
it. Yeah.
Basically 20,000 a place.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Cut it that way. Because one of them we paid a little bit more than the other. We had a little bit more tied up in the other.
Okay. So you got 20,000 in each investment.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, that's an easy way to put it.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then my projections were like our worst case scenario. Like I said, we're gonna make like 10%. Our most likely case scenario was like a 40 or 50%, and then our best case, I was like 90% return on our money.
Mm-hmm.
And we fell just short of like the best case scenario. So they cash flow on average. This is like total net. This is after our expenses are paid, around like $1,200, $1,300 a month.
Dang.
So like
That's damn good, dude.
it's pretty good. I mean,
Per house.
Per house.
Per house.
Yeah.
So $2,500 a month on those two places.
Yeah.
Dang.
So what's that equal out to a year? I mean, we just do the math real
Yeah,
quick.
do the math. That's a good question.
Because
2,500 times 12.
yep, 2,500 times 12, so that's 30,000, and yeah, so 30 divided by 40, yeah, it's a 75% return on our money.
That's damn good.
Yeah.
Damn good. And the people that get in them, because I'm assuming, do you use Airbnb?
Yeah, we mainly list those two on Airbnb and VRBO.
VRBO. Yeah, those are the two big ones now.
Yes.
The type of people you get in them, is it better because, like, do you charge a cleaning fee,
Yeah.
processing fee,
So
anything like that?
yeah, so we kind of have we have dynamic pricing and everything like that. So it kind of like it knows when some of the hot days are and weekends and stuff like that, just from past data. But so we charge the guest back our cleaning fee. So that's typically like we call it like a pass through fee. So whatever we take in for our cleaning fee pretty much goes to our cleaner. Sometimes we take a little bit off the top.
Oh, I see. So you're not really making nothing off the cleaning.
No.
But the cleaning is getting covered
Right.
by someone else. The
Exactly.
cleaning fee is not coming out of your profits.
Right.
So that's
Right.
nice,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So would you say that those properties get taken a lot better care of?
Way better. And so like, where we kind of pivoted was, we had the 4-family, and then we had like when we bought it, there's long-term tenants in it, and we had it's just one of those things where like long-term tenants, a lot of the times they don't take care of their properties as well as you'd like them to. And when we had move outs, it was like, these places are trashed.
Yeah.
You know, and I hated that. Because
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
got to repaint the whole place.
Yeah.
Deep clean.
You gotta
At
do
the
it-
best.
yeah.
It's to repaint the whole place and deep clean it.
Yeah.
That's the best.
we have yet to
possible.
find, well, we have one tenant that lived above us in the duplex. She was great. But, yeah, I mean, every other move out that we've had, it's been like, we need to do work to this
But
property.
you still have to pay for the cleaning or do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So that's coming out of your pocket
Yeah.
in some way. And then like on that one, which is the best case scenario, which is 1% of the time, right?
Yeah.
Did you have to do any painting?
For our long-term rentals,
No, I'm talking this lady that moved out that you said was best case scenario.
nobody's occupying that right now because we kind of have the whole house to ourselves.
But did you have to paint or anything? Or you
We
just
did
left it
paint,
alone?
yeah. We painted. We were gonna put a tenant up there, but we were like, you know what? Like, we're not gonna send the kids to summer camp this year. Like, we'll give them their whole domain, and also they're just really loud because they're 5 and 7. So
Yeah.
I was like,
Give them some space.
yeah.
I get
And we
that.
need to do a little bit of work from home a lot too, so it helps to have the extra space. So nobody's up there yet.
But still, even in the best case scenario there,
yeah,
you still had to pay for cleaning.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Or do it yourself. There's time or money involved.
yeah,
And then you still had to paint, right?
Yeah.
Which isn't free.
right.
You got to pay someone to do that. The paint's not free. Even if you do it yourself, like that's
time.
That's time.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people they don't put value on their time.
Right.
But like I do.
Mm.
Like I think about my time and I'm like, I could be working somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like if it takes me 8 hours to paint this place, I'm like, I could be working somewhere else.
Right.
Even if it's painting cars again.
Yeah.
I could be making $30 an hour painting cars. Like I gotta find a way to
Right.
make my time worth a damn. And so that's kind of how I look into it. So best case scenario is still, which it never works out like that.
No, I mean she left it super clean. We repainted it, like I said, because we were just gonna try to get market rent, like best case market rent, which was gonna be like $750, something like that. So not a lot.
Yeah. What? Okay. Well, because you guys are.
That was a long-term rental. That's the duplex that we live in.
Yeah.
So,
Like, would you say on average, like your long-term rentals are like cash flowing like somewhere between $100 and $300 a month?
we don't even have so the 4-family that we had, that was like the last of our long-term rentals.
Okay.
So we don't really have anything left that's long-term.
Well,
besides-
so when the lady was living above you,
She
what was
basically was
cash
covering our mortgage. I mean, she covered a huge portion of our mortgage, I should say.
okay.
Yeah.
But it was also a duplex,
Right.
which
Yep.
is like that's about the only way
Yeah.
to be able to hack something like
If
that.
if we moved out of that bottom unit and we had a tenant upstairs and we put a tenant in the base or in where we're at now, we'd probably get maybe like $500 to $700 a month off of it in cash flow. So, which would be good. I mean, it's about $250 a door.
Yeah.
So I know that's what people like to shoot for is like $250 in pure cash flow per door.
Yeah. Well,
Some people.
theoretically,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Theoretically, like that's what you tell yourself. But when anything happens, that's
Yeah.
when things start to change.
Right.
Right. And I have an AC unit go out every freaking year.
Yeah.
So it's like
There's your cash flow for the year.
exactly. Yeah. Because when you're only making $250 a month,
Right.
and an AC unit now
Right.
is 10 grand,
Yeah.
7 to 10 grand. Like, yeah, there goes all your cash flow for the year.
Yep.
And that's that's what I always try to tell people is I'm like, just try to be prepared.
Yeah.
Don't go and waste your money or go into it thinking like, oh, I'm going to make $250 a month off each property. Because yeah, a lot of people want to do it. They think it's a get rich quick thing.
Yeah.
And then they want to go out and buy a car.
Yeah.
And then buy a new house. And they're using all the funds to
Yeah.
put in their own stuff. And I'm like, don't do it because all this stuff's going to break.
Right.
So like, for someone that's willing to do it and not touch the money, I think that's great. But that's what I always have to tell people because I don't want to see anyone fail.
Yeah.
Like I want to see people succeed, and so I want to make sure like when I'm telling them like go buy a rental property, it's actually going to help them out.
Yeah.
Not everybody's built like that.
No, and it's a lot of delayed gratification, and that's where like the Dave Ramsey helped out for me at the beginning, and that's I kind of I had these expectations in my head with like we scaled somewhat quickly, and I had these expectations that like all this cash flow was like I could just live off of it, and like. It'd be tough if like Naja didn't have an income and like we were just relying on the cash flow from our portfolio. It'd be tough,
Right.
even though like I can give you those numbers, but it's like we're gonna have some kind of expense come up. We had we had like a leaky roof that we had to fix a little bit of an issue with. Like there's all these different like CapEx expenses that do happen that you have to keep aware of. So,
Yes.
you know, a lot of people like get hung up on like it's like, oh, 75% return on your money. You're making $2,500 a month. Like that's just
$30,000 a year on one property.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
that 26 times and
Yeah.
look how much money I have.
Right. And it's like, well, it's not quite like that, you know, because there's other expenses that do come up, or maybe like we need to repaint, or we got to do this, or we got to do that. So there was definitely an expectation, you know, like you talked about, like a get rich quick. You know, I was like, I can replace my Boeing income really quickly. Mm-hmm. And like our cash flow now pretty much has done that, you know, out of just our portfolio stuff. But like I said, you know, there's expenses that come up. So.
Yeah. And like you said, what's your
Naja.
Naja?
Yeah.
Naja.
Naja. Nadja.
Oh my God, you guys got some difficult names to remember. Yeah, it helps to have some other types of income.
Absolutely.
And whenever I was doing it, I was starting out by myself, and I think that's why I am so like so much of an advocate of like, be careful, do it, but be careful, because I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to see someone fail, but I was doing it by myself. It helps to have something else, some other type of money coming in, because I just don't want to see someone quit their job, try to go all in on real estate, which it is great investment, but I worry that someone's going to go all in and then just crumble, and then because how many have you met people that have real estate that don't like it?
I mean, I know guys in the real estate space that have like gotten out of it.
Rental properties? Or are you just saying like selling real estate?
Selling, wholesaling, owning, you know, just a little bit of everything. But for some of those examples, I just don't know that they were all in on certain aspects of it.
Yeah.
So
I've met a lot of people that, they don't take the time to learn anything, right? They just want it, and they think it's going to be great cash flow, and they're going to make a ton of money on it. They buy 1 to 5, depending on how ballsy they are. And then they get into it, and the renters suck.
Yeah.
Because maybe they don't know how to, like what's the word I'm looking for here? But like filter through.
Right.
Their tenant, like the people that are applying, their
background checks and all that stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So like they're just slapping someone in it because they desperately want to rent it. So they slap someone that sucks in it. They tear the property up. Now they cost them $5,000 to fix it back up when they finally kick the guy out.
Yeah.
Or maybe the guy that's in it just causing hell in it, and he has to go there and fix it all the time. Or there's always problems. So I hear a lot from those kind of people.
Right.
And if I would have listened to them, I wouldn't have known any. But I had to learn to just be like, I had to learn to pay attention to people like Brandon.
Yeah.
And that's what kept me going. Because whenever I was doing it, I didn't have anyone around me. I mean, I knew like a very small amount of people that had rental properties.
Right.
But most of the people were people that were in a small town community around me that had tried it out with no knowledge, and they're like, the sky is falling. It's going to be the worst thing ever. Get out now.
Yeah.
It's a young man's thing. And I'm like, honestly, the rentals I have now are great.
Yeah.
I mean, I slowed my roll a little bit. I sold quite a few off in 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, man, the freaking market's killing it.
Might as well take advantage of it.
I'm going to take advantage of it, sell it, put some money aside, put it in some other businesses, and then maybe have some down payments for some ones in the future. Because like I had one that honestly wasn't that great. I bought it for $3,500, and it was trashed.
Wow, 3,500.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was trashed, dude. It was trashed. And it was my first full renovation. And actually, my real estate agent was the one that he's like, hey man, this house is on the market. I think they wanted $20,000 for it. And I went and looked at it, and I was like, I don't know, it's a big job. And I was thinking, if you could get it for like 10 to 15, you could probably get it pretty good. But I'm like, I don't want to do the work. I was painting at the time. And then it ended up going contingent, and I was like, it's gone. Like, it wasn't meant to be. And I was like, good riddance, because I didn't want it anyway. And then we went out that weekend. I went with my real estate agent out to the bar that weekend. We were just having some drinks, and he's like, oh, hey, just so you know, that contract fell through if you want to buy it. Or no, No. We went out that weekend. That's when he told me it went up for sale. And I'm like, damn it, dude. We should have offered like 10 grand for it and just seen if we could have got it because we might have been able to get it. Because I think the contract was for 13. And he's like, yep, we missed our opportunity. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Monday, he calls me. He's like, hey.
Back on market.
Back on the market. You want to buy it? And I'm like, damn it. I guess I kind of got to now. And he's like, we should just partner on it. And cool. I think we said, I think I told them to offer 5, and they countered back 7, and we were going to split it. So I only had $3,500 in and bought it, and then we fixed it up together, and then we were just going to flip it. And then I liked it. We were only in it, I think we were in it like 20 grand, okay. 25,000. I don't know. Well, that was eating our time. So we did a lot of the work. So it was $25,000 material plus whatever our time was. But at the time, I had more time than money.
Right.
Kind of thing. So I was like, can I just buy this from you? Like, I think he sold it to me for 40 grand. And then I had it on them. But it sucked. It had block foundation.
Okay.
You had any place with block foundation?
Yeah.
Not the best.
We have one of our Ironton places like a block house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Basement? It has a basement?
No, it's actually on a slab.
Okay, well, I would say that's probably better.
Yeah.
Because this one, it was a block foundation, and the walls, like the ground was moving. It was pushing. The walls were bowed, and I was worried that I was going to have problems in the future with it. And then I put a chick in it that I gave an opportunity to. She seemed like she was clean, got into it, trashed it. She was in it less than 6 months, like 3 to 5 months, trashed the whole entire thing. Yeah. It took me months to get her out because she left, but her crackhead boyfriend stayed in it. And I had to take the crackhead boyfriend to court.
Squatters' rights.
Yeah, dude, it was insane. It was insane what the guy could, like, the guy wasn't on the contract, nothing. But since he had his
mailing address there.
Yep, he put his mailing address on there, and he knew it. Like, he would avoid the cops, but he would talk to me. And he's like, because they were trying to serve him, he's like, as long as I don't talk to them, they can't serve me.
So he's done this a time or two.
Yeah, he knew.
And you were new.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm gonna get this guy. He's got one rental property, and I'm gonna stay there for as long as I can.
I had quite a few at this time.
Okay.
It wasn't my first one, but
gotcha.
he was just a dude. She was all the power had got shut off to the house.
Still live there.
He was still living there, and they jacked everything up. They were burning trash out back. They had a big pile of trash, and they burnt it and burnt the siding off. There was a shed outside. He burnt the siding off the shed, and then I had the gutters. I had ran like the spouts like out through the yard, just so all the water wouldn't go straight down into that block foundation and run inside the house. Well, they're crackheads, and they somehow lost the downspouts. Yeah. And it had a cellar door that went downstairs. So it was coming straight down the downspouts and straight into the cellar. And all my base, since the electric got shut off, the basement, the sump pump didn't work anymore. No. So now the basement's flooding. And I put a brand new HVAC in it. And I remember going there after I got them out, and it was up to my knee in the basement of water and just trash floating around. And I ended up having to go in there after they got out, and because they were on heroin. And all, there was I paid someone to clean it, but there was needles and stuff in it. Oh no, it was scary. I didn't even like to be in there, and it was like blood on the ceiling, all kinds of weird stuff. Dude, it was insane, and that was the final straw for ever giving someone an opportunity ever again. Yeah, and that's when it was like, that's whenever I got with an attorney, and I was like, this is what I need to build a better contract. Tell me, I have a 7-page contract now for my long term, and when people go to move in, I tell them, like, this is a business. Mm. You're renting a house from me. You take care of it. You pay me rent on time. We're going to be friends. If you don't, we're going to have a problem. And I'm kicking you out the second, like, I tell everyone, rent's due on the 1st at 5. 5 o'clock, you don't pay me rent, you're out. Right. I'm calling my attorney or you're getting out. So, I'm not saying I've never been lenient since then, but I'm strict on it. Yeah. If they don't have a good excuse, I'm like, you're out, man.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it sucks because I'm really bad about that. Like, I think it's another reason I don't like long-term rentals is, like, if somebody gives me a story, I'm like, oh, well, you know, it is this issue. So I hate to be like, no, we're going to charge you the late fee. And then what we realized, you know, I think it's just beginner, newbie mistakes is, like, you do that one time, they do it a second time and a third time and a fourth time. Yep. And all of a sudden they're taking advantage of you. Yep. And that's what sucks is like they kind of ruin it for everybody. Like, because there's people out there that have legit situations and it's like, you want to be flexible with them, but there are the people that they look for the first like opportunity to take advantage of you.
Yeah, and they just keep taking and
Yep.
taking and taking.
Yep.
That's why I tell them up front, hey,
Yeah.
this is a business.
Right.
This has nothing to do against you. I have to pay a mortgage on this place still. You don't want to pay the mortgage on it, so you pay me rent. If you don't pay me rent, you got to get out.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's no different than your water or your electric or your TV or Netflix. You don't pay it on the first, they shut it off.
Yeah.
That's how I am. Get the hell out of here.
I am
Never pay me.
Netflix.
Yeah, basically, like, I don't know. I feel like that's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
You got to just. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know some people that only have one or two, and like they become friends with the people that are renting it, and then all of a sudden something happens, and they can't pay, and
That's a weird spot to be in. I've
It's
always
not a
heard
good
that.
spot
Don't
to be
be
in.
don't be too friendly with your tenants. You know, which I mean,
I even tell them like I don't text. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, you call me. Something's up, you call me.
see, I'm the opposite. You text.
me.
Yeah, so we have it in writing.
Well, I can see that. No, that actually would be
Yeah.
one of the benefits of the text. I just don't like to text because I feel like they just want to like text like silly stuff to me all the time.
Yeah, I just don't like. We got a dude that lives at one of our properties that we went to school with, and he was not that. It was probably my fault. I was just too cool with him at first, and so like our texting back and forth would veer off subject from the rent or something else.
Sure.
So that's where, and then quickly after that was we were getting taken advantage of. Hey, I'm gonna be late. I'm gonna be out of town, so I can't pay my rent. It's like, dude, why don't you just set it up automatic pay?
Yeah.
Come on.
Or if you know you're going out of town, you're not going to be there on the first to pay.
Yeah.
Pay it before you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what I tell people too.
Yeah.
Like it's because they do that crap.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I'm sorry, man, I was out of town. It's like, well, you didn't know that rent was due on the first? Like you didn't know that you were supposed to pay me rent on
Right.
the first? So that's the kind of stuff that bothers me. And it's just like, you know better than that. And it's
Right.
full grown adults
Right.
coming up with excuses to try to get around stuff like that.
Right. And that's honestly like that was a huge reason that we pivoted the way we did anyways, because the 4-family that we bought, there was a lady and her daughter, and the guy that owned it lived in it. So he just kind of took on, I don't want to say charity case, but I guess the girl had a situation. So she was good for like the first 2 months, and then like the third month it was like she's late. And then she was late again, late. And it was like we had bad first experiences with our tenants. And I just was like, I'm done with this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore.
$250 a month. This doesn't seem right.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, this is super easy. We just collect rent. We build wealth. And it's like, no. And
Way
so,
more than that.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I guess getting back into the short-term rental aspect of it, it's like those people are there for a couple days and they're gone.
But okay, so let's talk about this. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think short-term rentals is honestly probably where a lot of people in life are going to have to start to pivot.
Right now, possibly, yeah.
Yeah, maybe if the market changes, maybe I could see it, but you don't see a lot of 1%.
See, it's so funny you say
about
1% because I didn't hear about 1% until like we had already started buying property. And then I started hearing about the 1% rule and I'm like, man, have I been buying wrong?
Yeah.
Because like nothing really meets the 1% rule. Like, and
Yeah.
then I heard somebody else, I think it was Brandon Turner actually talked about it on a podcast. He's like, it used to be the 2% rule.
Yeah.
And then it became the 1% rule. And now it's hard to find 1% rule
Now
stuff.
it's
So
the 0.6% rule.
yeah, well,
That's on long term,
yeah.
not short.
Well, and I've heard it. I think everybody has a different criteria. Like for me, I wanted my cash on cash return. That's why I tried to get in with as little money down as possible.
Right.
We try to stay liquid. So then that way, if there is some kind of unforeseen or the market dips, it's like we're still gonna be okay. But
Yes.
I
And I think
was
that's
looking,
the best way.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that's the best way to go.
Yeah.
You want cash on hand.
Yeah.
Right? For some stuff.
right, and that's why I look at like cash on cash return was that was like my main criteria at first. I look at it a little bit differently now, but at first it was like how much money can I put out versus how quickly can I get that back, and like I didn't really want to do anything that wasn't going to be 30%, and I couldn't find that in long-term rentals. At the first long-term rental, we were like, okay, we can get like 7. I think like the 4-family we bought on like long-term rental numbers was he was going to make something along the lines of like 8% on our money. And that was partially because it was like a 3.5% down FHA. So,
Sure.
imagine putting 25% down.
Yeah.
Granted, you get a smaller note, but
When you get the
when you put a bigger amount down,
The
your
amount
cash flow
is-
gets a little
is smaller.
higher. But
yeah, but still, it ain't always easy to come up with 20%.
no,
If you got to,
especially not on
do
four family.
20% all the time, it'd be freaking
That's 60
tough.
grand on
Yeah.
some of these. Yeah,
It's tough. I'm looking at a property right now that it's just a duplex, and they want 200,000 for it,
yeah,
and 20% down on it is 40 grand. And I'm like,
yeah.
well, how much am I going to cash flow on it?
Right.
And that's kind of like what drives me. Like that's how I figure out if I'm, because I think that there's some people that have so much money that they got to put it somewhere or it's
Yeah.
going to get taxed.
Right.
And so for them, they can buy a property that makes zero cash flow at all. But as long as it's just has someone in it, renting it out, and it's going to pay off eventually where they're gaining equity in it, and eventually they're going to cash flow on it, that's good by them.
Right.
Right. But me, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I got to have some cash flow to build back up so I can put back into some
Right.
stuff. Because it's not even easy for me to refinance a property. I can get equity in it, and it's hard for me to actually use it to liquidate into stuff. I have a decent bank, but they're just not bullish. They're very conservative. So it's hard for me to
In like what way?
like if I say I have a house and I only owe $30,000 on it, it's worth $100,000, and I want to use some of that equity, $60,000 of it, they don't want to just let me use it like I want to. Yeah.
I'd be shopping banks.
Yeah, I know. If you got some recommendations, I'll take some after it.
And if any of you bankers are listening, we're gonna shop around.
Yeah, I mean, I even told my banker, the lady that I was using, I was like, hey, because when I was really bullish in it, I was like, hey, it's just not. It wasn't her. She would even tell me, she's like, Ryan, I want to give you this. I know you can do it, but the bank just doesn't want to because they were so conservative.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I have equity in the property. It's supposed to be cash. I was like, all my property is cash flow. I have the money to pay for it all. Like, why can't I get the money back? I just don't want to have to use my own cash out of my own bank account to put into it when I have equity over here just sitting around doing nothing. So, like, why would I not use equity?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, every bank's a little different. I mean, is that kind of your sole banking relationship? Is that one?
Yeah, honestly, I have been trying to shop around. My banker actually switched different banks, but she just does mortgages.
Yeah.
Like, she could help me out to a certain point, but by the time she switched banks, I was already pivoting into business.
Yeah.
And then like the product that I was showing you before the podcast.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all on that because I'm like, I can sell this to the world.
Right.
And I'm like, I could be doing so much more than these rental properties.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where because I can't focus too much on the rental properties and that. So it's kind of like I got to really go all in.
Yeah.
I've just been trying to learn business because there's so much to it. Just like I've been reading a book called Launch, which has been really helpful. But I've been just trying to consume books that are gonna try to help me go down that path because I know freaking nothing.
Yeah.
When it comes to business, I know freaking nothing.
Well, it's funny you talk about that because when you get into short-term rentals, that's a little business within real estate.
Is.
And we're to the point now where we have to start hiring internally. We're not just working on onboarding a VA right now, like a virtual assistant. And we have cleaners that we 1099 but there's leadership. You have to start creating SOPs. You have to give the people that are on your team the tools to succeed. And I'm in these positions. I've never been in a management role at a company. I'm paying a coach now. That's I heard him speak at a conference and he was just phenomenal at talking about leadership and building a team. And it's I got into this as passive income. It's oh no, you're building a business within the real estate as well.
Sure. So what do you do about your short-term rentals? What if they're all in different places? How do you get cleaners and stuff to manage them all?
Yeah, so we have 3 in Ironton now. So we have two main, a lady and a younger gal down there that clean the 3 of them, and I've got a handyman down there that I just happenstance. our AC went out, and like that was who our home warranty company hired to do it, and he wound up being a great dude. So
Okay. So you
he
go
does
back through him now.
so yeah, he's like the guy that I'll call, like if I have a maintenance issue, I call him up and he goes and checks it out for me. He's done some other work for me too in different locations, but like there's our main cleaners down there, and then in St. Louis we hire a company. We've got 2 in Augusta that we have a company. Well, we have 1 in Augusta that a company is doing, and then in Washington and our smaller Augusta house, we have a girl that we're doing 1099 with. So
Gotcha.
we had to onboard her. And
Yeah, because I feel like that's where it can get tough.
it can.
Finding the help
Yeah,
that you can trust to do it right.
exactly.
Because down in Ironton, you can't go down there and check on the properties all the time.
It's a 2-hour drive for us.
Right. So how do you trust someone?
So I'm really glad that we picked up our first one that was in a spot that forced us to do that, because it was basically like the girl's no longer with us, but at first she was good. She turned the linens, she kept the place clean. But then we start getting a little bit of reviews that were like, hey, this issue, or like there was some stuff under the bed, or it wasn't super clean, like just like little stuff here and there, nothing crazy, or like the dishes weren't totally clean. And that starts hurting our reviews, and like it's a review based platform, so like our cleaning's super important, and we like let them know, like, hey, here's a list, here's everything that needs to be done each turnover, here's how much you're getting paid for this. And we were pretty open about like, if this is taking you more time, or if we have one that is going to take you more time because our guests were super dirty, like we'll cover that extra time, but
We just want it clean.
yeah,
Right.
I was like, I need it to be like white glove clean. Like 5-star reviews are so important for the platform.
Yeah. Yeah, because
So-
when I'm looking at Airbnb or VRBO, I'm looking
Yeah.
at the reviews.
Yeah,
Because especially if it's a place that I've never been, I want to know, is it safe? Is there
right.
anything sketchy with the place? Is it clean?
Yeah.
There ain't mold growing in the bathroom
Yeah.
somewhere. There ain't like the cabinets aren't like falling apart. Like it doesn't have like some crackhead neighbors or something that's gonna be bothering us.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff you want to know. You only can find that stuff through the reviews.
Right.
So I was definitely thinking that in my head. Like is that the hardest part of the whole business? Dealing with those things?
I would say that probably ranks up there as like one of the hardest parts.
Like a challenge for sure.
Yeah. Like once you get somebody that's good and they like kind of understand the process, and they're, I feel like we have ebbs and flows. Like we have a cleaner now that she's been with us for a while, and she'll do really well, and then all of a sudden it's like she missed out on some really like important stuff, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Right.
So, and it's like sometimes, this is what I learned from our mentor too, like finding out the motivation that they have for working in general. And, I've sat down and I've talked with this lady. I've tried to figure out like what her motivation is. Is it money? Is it time? Well, like what kind of motivations is it? And it was just kind of like I don't want to like just apathetic, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just kind of doing this and blah, blah, blah. So, that's hard. It's hard to lead that kind of person. I mean, we should probably be trying to find somebody that's a little bit more excited about doing it, because
Sure.
she's probably just burnt out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Or is it someone that does it individually, or she work for a company?
she this is one lady that we 1099. So she's just working
Okay.
with us. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
she does
It's not
other
like
work
she's
too.
Passionate about starting her own business, and this is
No.
how she's getting started.
No, I mean, and we worked with companies that are like that too, and where it seems like that's going to be great. It's not all the time, because it's a business for them. So there's time and there's costs involved with that for them. So they're like, we can only be here for X amount of time, but it's like, yeah, but you promised to do all these things and you didn't do all these things, and
Yeah.
so
That's okay. So
there's multiple businesses integrating within this business, and it can be tough.
See, these are things I think about whenever I'm thinking about buying a place down in Florida.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what do I do if it's not, or how do I check on it, or how do I make sure it's good?
Yeah.
Is there a way for to have a checklist I have to fill out? It's hard
Yeah, like now we have there's systems that they have that integrate with like your calendars and everything like that. And for some of our locations, like we have the cleaner send photos and like basically like send photos of each room, and like there's a way, like other people are better at it than I am, where they're like very diligent about like their quality control. and like they're reviewing photos from their cleaner, and the cleaner's taking photos from under the bed and doing all these different things. But those kind of people have like bigger teams than we have right now.
Sure.
You know, they've got like virtual assistants, they've got quality control managers, they've got different stuff like that.
Right. I feel like that's a lot to ask
Yeah.
out of a cleaner.
Yeah.
Like, hey, because it almost sounds like you don't trust them to do their job.
Well, and
When you ask
there's a little bit aspect of liability too. You know, like there's, you know, if there's like we learned this at a conference. If you leave a rug or like something they can step on right out of the shower, like if you don't have that hung up and that's in the photo, and somebody wants to like say they slipped on it, they can put it on you. But if they take it down and they put it on the floor, that's on them. So if we have a photo of that thing up there, that's that removes the liabilities. And then like same with fire extinguishers being like within sight and stuff like that. So like if there's, you know,
So there is an importance
there
to have the pictures taken.
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
It's one
not
is
just a
one is quality control, and then also like there's a little bit of liability too. And also, you know, if we get a guest that comes in and says like, hey, this place looks like trash, the bed was all disheveled and this and that, it's
Just
like
'cause
we
they're trying
got
to get a
photos.
discount.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And which happens.
Sounds like it's almost a must to have pictures taken.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a must now for us, just with where we're at. Like we're trying to, you know, have a little bit higher standards because
I feel like a video would be easy to do too.
yeah,
Flip it on, have like a Google Drive that's shared.
yeah,
Be able to just walk through the house.
yeah. I don't think the app that we use allows them to put a video in. I'd be curious.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, I don't know. I feel like pictures, you get better quality,
Yeah,
more still. Because if someone's zooming through the house real quick.
yeah.
it's
And the
just all
pictures are like
blur.
time stamped in the app,
Yeah.
so you see when they took it.
Yeah.
So there's no way they can just upload like previous photos.
Right. Just save the same photos every
Right.
time.
Yeah,
Just re-upload them,
exactly.
'cause that'd be an easy way to get around the system.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's interesting. I like the idea of it. I think I'll buy some eventually. I just don't know. I like hearing someone else's stories
yeah.
about having it, just because I know nothing about it. Like when you started doing it, was it learning from Bigger Pockets?
No, so that was like Bigger Pockets didn't cover a whole lot of short term. Like they would have guests on that do have short term rentals, but
I never remember any short-term rentals
yeah.
on Bigger Pockets.
I mean, it's kind of like I feel like it's a wave that's kind of come up. Like everybody's getting into
Was it
it.
just
and
YouTube then?
buying- Yeah, it was YouTube. Like
Just YouTube and Guts.
yeah. So I learned a lot on YouTube, and Rob Built, who I've mentioned, like I took his. I was watching his YouTube videos because he's got a lot of really cool stuff, and like that's where we learned a big portion of it. And then I signed up for his host camp, which is like basically you get like this whole like he's got video segments and all these different tools that you can use, and he shows you how to do it, how to set up your systems and stuff like that. So Naja actually bought that for like a birthday gift to me.
Oh, cool.
And so like that was our introduction into like Rob's host camp group, and so that taught us a lot.
So he's bigger on short-term?
Yeah, that's like his main portfolio is
Oh, cool.
all short-term rentals. He has like 14 or 15 short-term rentals, but they're like all over, and they're unique stays. Like they're really cool properties. They're not just like
I'm
a
gonna look into
regular
it.
house. Yeah.
I would like to look into it because, yeah, just the long-term thing just doesn't seem like the money's there versus the short-term. But okay, so what about like the bad reviews? I think I seen you share one on your Facebook the other day. Didn't you have a bad review the other day? That was like some petty.
Maybe, yeah. Was that maybe the lady that said something along the lines of like how it wasn't walkable? And then I don't know. Was it
house
that
wasn't
one?
I don't remember. I just like scrolled just a little bit
Yeah.
on your Facebook. Just,
Okay, it was probably that then. Was there a highlight? Was it one of them highlighted? I
don't
think it was.
remember.
Anyways, I
Probably
think
was.
it was the one where the lady said it wasn't walkable, but in our listing description we say we're like a mile from the town square, and so we got
she
a
was
bad.
mad that the town square wasn't as walkable.
Yeah, so we got like it like hurt our value rating and like our location rating, and I'm like, this is bogus. Like
Yeah.
read the listing description.
Yeah.
So, but that happens.
So
I
in your
mean,
listing description, does it say, what's it say? Like what?
it says we're like a mile from the town square, and she was like, I wish it was more walkable to town.
Okay,
And
but
it's
in
like,
the listing description, it didn't say
Yeah.
it's a walkable distance to town square.
I don't think so. I think it was like we're a mile from the town square. Like,
It's just
is
something
that
she made up
walkable
in
to
her
you?
head. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like in our listing, we say that we're convenient to a lot of like stuff that Ironton has to offer, which is like 10, 15, 20-minute drives all around, like Elephant Rock, Pilot Knob, all kinds of different stuff, you know. So
it's hard to give an accurate description other than distance.
yeah,
Because
Yeah.
like a mile walk
Yeah.
for one person is totally different for another person.
yeah, they're cool with it.
Yeah. You know, or it takes someone half an hour to walk a mile. or
Yeah.
It can take another person an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You know, because they're just dragging their feet, taking their
Right.
time. So it's like you can't really
Yeah.
give like a time, because even with like traveling in a car, even if you say it's a 15-minute drive, if there's traffic,
Yeah,
well, it could take 30 minutes.
right.
So that's where it gets different. If you just say it's a mile away, I feel like
Right.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the downside. You get bad reviews that sometimes don't make any sense, but that's kind of the name of the game.
Do you have the opportunity to like?
You can try to fight it and dispute it,
Yeah.
but sometimes that's just not even worth it because Airbnb is so hard to get reviews removed.
Dude, I'm not a fan of Airbnb.
Yeah?
I'm not gonna say it. I don't, because you obviously do business with them, so we don't
Yeah,
have to go into it.
I'm not
but-
a huge fan of the way they do some stuff too.
Dude, I just have bad experiences on there. I mean, I got straight up stood up in Naples, Florida. Stood up. Like I showed up to the property and didn't get an access code or nothing.
Yeah,
I had it was Friday night, 6 o'clock in Naples, Florida. Never been there in my life, sitting outside the property and never got an access code. Guy wouldn't answer his phone, wouldn't answer an email, wouldn't answer a text, nothing.
yeah,
And then because like Airbnb has like some type of guaranteed help thing.
yeah.
They didn't help me at all.
Yeah, see, and that's a bummer. Like, I hate to hear that from like a host side because you should be giving people the proper tools to be able to access your property, and like, if you're not available, how they can still do it.
The guy that had this
So-
property was clearly a scumbag.
Yeah, and that's what Airbnb gets a bad rap from bad hosts and also bad guests.
I wouldn't even. It wasn't even the. It's crazy. It wasn't even the Airbnb, the scumbag that stood me up and didn't
Yeah.
give me the code. Like I paid for the place in advance. I showed up. I didn't get the code. The guy didn't answer his phone. I wasn't even mad at him. Mm-hmm. Whatever, man. You got a property. You don't want to rent it out. Fine. I call Airbnb because I want them to do something about it to help
Yeah.
me out. And they just they tell me well, let us try to call him. They try to call him. 30 minutes later, they send me a text off the app saying we couldn't get a hold of him.
Yeah,
And it was basically it. And then, so I immediately call him and I'm like, and it just sends me on their customer service. And I get a new lady. She wants to try to do this 30-minute call thing again. I'm like, no. I've already been through this process.
yeah,
And then I sat on the phone with her for an hour and she just tried to keep getting me to call. I bet we called this guy 50 times.
Yeah.
At least. Called, text, all this stuff. And she was trying to go, she wanted me to just go check the doors and see if they were unlocked just to go in. I'm like, this guy clearly doesn't want me there. I'm not just going to go just try to sneak into his house to get into it or try to get in.
How long ago is this?
This was in February this year.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And
okay.
And what's the lady? I thought she was trying to be helpful at first, and I thought she was just dumb. I just thought she was just dumb, and I was like, listen, this isn't working out. We got to go a different route. But it came down to the point where I was like, can I talk to somebody else? She's like, yes, but let me try one more thing. And she wouldn't let me talk to anybody else. It got to the point where I was like, I just want to talk to a supervisor or
Yeah.
somebody. She's like, well, my supervisor's on break right now. And I was like, she's like, I can have her call you back. And I was like, I can't remember what I said because she kept dragging out. And then I was like, I'm getting off the phone because it's 6 o'clock. I'm in Naples, Florida on a Friday, and I need a place to stay. And you're not helping me. I'm on the phone. I've been on the phone with you for an hour. You haven't done a damn thing. Hasn't offered my money back. Haven't gave me nothing. And I was like, just do one thing for me and tell a supervisor or manager to call me back. Give them my number. Tell them to call me back. Tell them that what happened and just have them call me back at any time. I'm going to go get a hotel. She's like, well, hold on. Let me go see if I can get my manager. She thought she put me on hold, but she didn't. So I could hear her the whole time. I think she thought she muted me, but she's sitting there talking to her friend about the whole situation, and they're joking about it. They're making jokes about it.
Oh my god.
I listened to it for about 7 or 8 minutes, and maybe not that long, maybe 5 minutes. And I was like, hey, I know you think this is a joke, but I'm literally a 3-hour flight. like states away from where I live in a town I've never been before, 6 o'clock on a Friday, and I just need a place to stay. And I just want my money back, or something. And then like all of a sudden she muted it and I just hung up. Yeah, because like it was like clearly like she just like, oh crap, and muted it, and then I just hung up. And I ended up calling back because I was like, this is ridiculous. So I did it because every time you call, you get a new customer service person. So I called back. They tried to do the same thing. They're like, well, let's try calling them, and I'll give us 30 minutes. I was like, no. Like I had to beat it out. I was like, no. I was like, I explained to her the situation. I said, I've already done this twice. I said, I sat on the phone with this other lady. She didn't help me at all. And then I told her about how she was like supposed to put me on mute and was just making jokes. And I was like, I just hung up on her. I was like, just give me my money back. I don't give a damn about anything else. I said, I'm just going to go buy a hotel and move on with my life. And it ended up, it was like they were like trying to call me. It wasn't, they didn't even try to call me again until the end of my trip. I stayed there 7 days. It was on my last day that they were trying to call me. And it was like 10:30 at night. And they were trying to call me, like trying to handle the situation. And I just listened to the voicemail, and they said they were going to give me my money back. They're like, call us back so we can try to help you resolve this situation. And I just checked my bank account, made sure my money was in there, and I deleted the app and never went back. I haven't been back since. I use VRBO though, and I would use it again.
See, it's funny. VRBO's customer service is even worse.
Is it really? God damn it, dude. That sucks. Airbnbs, they rock. I love the idea behind it.
Yeah, the platform, the user interface, and everything, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But their customer service is terrible. I will say that.
So crazy.
Because they have for hosts, they have it's called air cover. So you can send a request, like if a guest damages your property, like first you have to document all this stuff, and then they send it to the guest, and then the guest can either accept to pay it, which never happens because the guest is like, why would I do that? Airbnb is going to step in and cover it. So we had a party that slipped in at one of our houses, and we got sent to so many different reps, and I had to submit all the documentation multiple different times, first through the app, then through emails, and then I had a different rep that wanted more through emails, and I was like, this is a joke.
So even from
the host standpoint,
the hoster side, you're battling the same thing.
Yeah,
the people that are renting are.
Yeah. It's a complaint among other hosts is Airbnb's customer service is kind of garbage sometimes.
Dang,
so,
that's scary. I wonder. Sounds like there's a market for a new business.
I think so. Well, and what a lot of people are doing now is they're building their own direct booking sites. Mm-hmm. So that's something that we just recently did, and so now, a lot of conferences that you go to, there's a lot of guys that are, really big in this space. They're collecting all of their customers' previous data, and they have their own website, and now they're sending out mailers to these people that have stayed with them previously, and they're even collecting it through the Wi-Fi. So
I'm doing it myself.
Yeah.
When I stayed in Naples, the place that I stayed, because I ended up getting a place at VRBO. I stayed in a hotel one night and then stayed in VRBO. I got the contact for that place. I'm like, if I ever come back, I'm just going to text you guys personally.
Yes.
Call you guys personally. And I'm like, screw VRBO, screw Airbnb. I'm like, I want to talk to you guys because if I have a problem, I know who to go to.
Right.
And it just seems so much easier.
Yeah. We like to keep them, it's very rare that we will skip Airbnb and our VRBO and just book them direct. But because it's nice to have the security of the app first. And then if they were a good guest, it's we'll book you direct next time because we can save you. I mean, dude, we had a travel nurse that stayed at our Ironton properties, and I think her entire trip stay was about $1,500 more for her to just book through Airbnb, and I was like, geez,
Airbnb's got to make their money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of service fees and everything with that.
When I'm going to Maui, I booked a place, and I'm like, should I have looked?
Yeah.
I just Googled.
I'm sure there's direct booking sites down there of people.
Yeah. And I could
call Brandon Turner. Go stay with him.
I wonder if I could text Drew, and if Drew could have a connection for me. I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to do it.
He probably knows somebody down there that's got Airbnbs. I would imagine.
And
then they can book you direct. I don't know if Brandon does or not. I mean, I don't.
He lives in Maui. You would think he'd.
You would think.
You would
yeah.
think.
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean.
He's doing bigger stuff than I think just managing a couple of small Airbnbs, though.
Well, doesn't he have an insane amount of Like rentals?
I mean, I don't know what Open Door Capital is up to at this point. Well, I guess they're rebranded too, so I don't know. I mean, he does a lot of.
Can you Google that, Ariel? Just type in like Brandon Turner
net
rental.
worth.
No, not that. Well, I want to know how many properties he's got, not how rich he is.
This feels like
I know he's freaking.
This feels like
well.
Joe Rogan with Jamie. Hey Jamie, can you pull this up?
Yeah. Well, that's what's so cool about this.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, I love this. Do you guys have a camera on that?
I don't. Oh, we have it to where it pops up on there.
Perfect.
Like once she finds it, she'll throw it
Okay.
up for the listeners to be able to see. If you guys are watching this, if you guys are listening to this car, I got a TV on the wall, so like we can look it up and it'll just show us everything, like on Google and stuff. But yeah, if they're watching on YouTube, they can see it or Spotify.
7,000 have hosted Bigger Pockets, over 100 million downloads.
Yeah, 7,000 properties,
Yeah,
give or take. A freaking crap ton.
that's insane.
One person owns 7,000. And then, there's people out there just
Way bigger than him.
way bigger than him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon's just a really cool guy because he shares
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Like that's so important for everyone else in the world that's trying to get started.
Yeah, that's what I pick up on that, with who I meet locally and who I meet at, different conferences and stuff like that. I can always pretty much immediately tell by how much information they're willing to share and give. 'Cause I don't know, I think it's very important with business to have an abundance mindset. And I've met people around here that won't share. They'll be like, yeah, I got this. And they won't share the property that they have under contract or are talking to. And I'm like, dude, I'm just curious because I want to see about your deal. Or
Maybe I'm trying to learn myself.
yeah. And it's funny how people can be reserved like that. I guess maybe they've gotten burned previously, but we're pretty open. When we're talking to somebody, I'm like, oh, we're looking at this address or whatever. And I don't care. I was actually talking to a private money lender the other day and he was asking, because we got a property under contract, and he was asking about it. He goes, oh, I know some people don't want to give the address. And I was like, no, it's on this street and this street. Here's the address. You can check it out.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if I fall out of contract on it and you want to buy it, great. If it didn't work out for me, okay, whatever. You can go buy it.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
That's why I even had the podcast here. I'm a pretty open book most of the time.
Right.
Even with this product I have, that's the one thing I'm not announcing it on the podcast.
Yeah.
But I don't when you showed up, that was one of the first things we talked about.
Right.
I'm like, look, this is what I
I was
got.
wondering if you're going to whip out an NDA that I'd have to sign.
No, I don't care. If somebody wants to try to compete, bring it on. You're gonna have to outwork me. That's the way I look at it. So that it don't bother me. And I think that I don't know. I think sharing information I think could be more beneficial. I think there's so much to go around in the world.
Yeah, of course.
Plenty of rental properties to go around, plenty of money to go around,
Yeah.
plenty of items that people are trying to buy. You'll always if you
Right.
don't get this rental property, there's going to be another one to buy.
That's my thing too. That's what I've learned. At first I was probably a little bit more reserved. I didn't want to tell everybody exactly where stuff was at. And now I'm just I'll talk about it. And if the deal doesn't work, or if somebody passes on a good deal, or if my buddy's I got this under contract and I get jealous for a second, I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
I'll have another one too.
Right.
There's so much real estate out there. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Be happy for him. Check it out and see what he did right, see what he did wrong, and learn and talk about it together. So
Yeah. I mean, I've even thrown there's lots of times where I'd throw people properties. I'm like, hey, I can't buy this, but you might be interested in this.
yeah, of course.
I'd throw it their way or whatever.
Yeah, I got guys that it's kind of funny. I've got guys that I've met from these conferences that are a lot of them are in California, and I've got multiple of them talking to me because they're tired of California legislation and prices. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, if there's something that doesn't work for me, I'll pass it on to you. I might still be able to make money on that.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is there's still room to make money on some of this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there is. So have you looked into Bright Investor?
I have not. I liked what he talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it solved a lot of people's problems because there's a ton of people that have analysis paralysis when it comes to getting into different markets.
Yeah.
So I thought the concept of it seems really cool, but I just haven't had time to.
Just in other markets, in states away and stuff. I just
Yeah.
ain't got the balls to do it yet.
Right.
just because they're so far away.
Yeah.
I certainly want to, but like I said, I shift my focus to business for a while, just because that's where I've been like finding fulfillment in. And
Yeah.
that's like big thing for me is just being happy in life too. Like
Yeah.
I just realized I wasn't quite happy as I thought I was going to be in real estate. So I pivoted, started getting in business, and I've like found a lot of fulfillment again.
Right.
So that's where it was for me. But Bright Investor is like, it is something that's really cool. And like whenever I come down to buying a property, because anytime I go anywhere, I'm like, man, I
Yeah.
want to buy a property here.
Yeah.
It'd be cool so I could come back and visit. And I think eventually it will come down to that. Like right now, starting my gym and starting this other product, like I'm pretty poor most of the time. Like, I'm just pretty broke most of the time. But there is going to be a time when like I finally start saving up some money again.
Yeah.
And I can start putting some down payments on properties and stuff. And
Right.
that's probably where I'll go back to
Well,
eventually.
I mean, and you know, there's a cool thing too if you can provide somebody some value, like which is a lot of the last few deals that we've done, I haven't put money into because I am the sweat equity partner. So we've
like
got
you're partnering with someone.
yeah, we've partnered with quite a few. So
I don't know. I don't like partnering. Just because I don't know. I say that, but I have partnered
yeah,
with my real estate agent on a few things.
yeah,
But I've been burned a couple times too.
see. It's funny. I hear it's always the guys that have been burned a couple times that are like,
Yeah.
I just don't want to partner, and I'm like, I mean, I look at that. It's like, did you set clear expectations at the very beginning?
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I like to be in control. Naturally, I like to be in control, but it's something that I haven't learned to like, hey, let some stuff go. And when I partnered, I did learn to let it go, and it worked out just fine. But I don't know. I like doing things at my own pace. It's not even about being in control. It's that some things I just like doing at my own pace, and sometimes I think I would partner with the right person, maybe, but I don't know who that would be.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Well, I'm just
Or are
thinking
you
about.
thinking like, no, you're still.
No. I get it. There's a lot of guys that function like that. Like Anthony's a good example. He's super like the one in charge. You know, I'm like, I like to partner with people. There's just different mindsets. You know, like because I'm working with a guy right now, and we're looking at a lot of different properties together. But there's like a camaraderie that I think pulls each of us. Like if one of us lacks in a certain area, the other one's finding a solution, and like there's just.
I could do it in real estate.
Yeah.
I could do it in real estate. I could do it in, well, like in business, I want to build a team. And I don't want to do it, like I don't want to be a one-man team.
Right,
I want to
right,
have like I want to have a team of people that are smarter than me. That's my goal.
Yeah.
Like I want to have a business that's big enough that I actually had to have a team, and I want them to be smart enough. I want to be able to pay them off a business that I start to help me. As weird as it sounds, like I want to be able to pay some people that are smarter than me to be around me all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want. I think whenever it comes to like a business, a lot of business is about freedom in my life too. So it's like whenever you start letting other people start to play into it, my freedom starts to get pulled away because they're like, no, we got to go to this conference or we got to do this, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. Maybe that might be something that I'm gonna have to like just deal with. But I think in real estate, I could do it. Like if there was a massive real estate property, I'm not even massive. Like let's say there's a 20-unit apartment complex, and someone's like, hey, you want to go in with me? I could do that with somebody else.
Yeah.
Like that would be fine because it's just there is like a system in place that's set there, and you have to set expectations. But like, I mean, it's pretty straightforward when it comes to renting. But I don't know. I feel like in business, there's just so many things that can just go different directions that I just feel like it'd be hard to. 'Cause
Yeah.
If I was working with somebody that was like telling me what to do, I'd have a hard time doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if some of those same hurdles that you have with partnering will also get in the way in the future as far as like when it comes time to like have a COO or CFO type role.
It will.
Because, you know,
It
you
will, dude.
got to work on that now because
Yeah, and I am. I
yeah.
certainly am. I just don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. How does someone work on that?
Well,
how do I-
that's surrounding yourself with other people that have been in that problem or have had that problem. And, you know, that's where, like, it's kind of funny, like these conferences that we go to. It's like we're like almost paying for friendships. It feels like, and some of the masterminds, but it's people that have had that experience. And you know, we have the mentor. We've used a business coach before, and then like I lean on Anthony about certain stuff too. And dude, a lot of it's mindset.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it's a lot of it's like there's a lot of our own baggage that gets in the way of how like why we can't lead people in a certain way. And that's the biggest thing I've noticed is like how to be a good leader. You know, that's
Certainly.
and what does that look like? What does a leader?
I've got that
look like?
from Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
He's been a big one for me of just like teaching me, like just not to be a boss, but to be a leader.
Right.
Like to be someone that someone wants to go work for.
Right.
You don't have to be that jerk that everybody hates.
Right.
You know, and like they're talking bad about.
Right.
Like I hate working for this guy, but I need to stay there for the money. Like I don't want to be that person.
Right.
So yeah, it is a lot of mindset and learning how to be a leader.
Yeah, and I think you know, casting a decent like, I guess casting vision too for the role, and like you know, you talk about the freedom aspect of it. I think that's the downfall is like a lot of people that are in my network are going for the same thing. So, you know, because I ideally like I want that too. I'd like a little bit more flexibility in my time to do other activities or do different aspects of real estate, and it'd be cool to have somebody that comes on and just like does the work, and it's like they're just here to learn. But I haven't quite created that environment for somebody to come into yet.
Yeah. Yeah. See, and I think that's kind of what I'm looking for too.
Yeah.
Like I want to have like if I like when I think about owning a business, like a big business, I think about having like an attorney, like a corporate attorney. I think about having like a president and an accountant, a sales team, a marketing team, and like, you know, I want to work with them all. Like, I don't want to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
I want the marketing team. I want the freaking best marketer, and I want to work with them, and I want them to be telling me why. I want to be able to come to them with ideas because I love coming up with ideas, and I love like one day I might want to work in sales. I might want to go and walk into this corporate business and try to sell my product, but the next day I might want to try to make some silly ad.
You ever watch Ryan Pineda?
Man, I've heard the name before.
I'm sure you've probably seen his
Does he have
content.
the freaking weird haircut?
The coif or whatever they
Yeah,
call it.
I know. I have. I've seen him, but I can't get into him.
Oh, really?
I can't get into him, but
Okay.
I do think he probably has some good content.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he talks about that. That dude has like 6 or 7 different businesses.
And when I say be in control, I think or not partner
Yeah.
with someone. I think that's what I'm saying. Like I think I don't want to be like in control of like all the sections or the sectors of my business. I just don't want to have to be like have a business where like maybe, you know how like Bud Light just did like their thing on their can, like what was it? It was like a pride thing, right?
Yeah, something along the lines of that. Yeah.
That's right?
Yeah. No, it was.
And you know like how it got a lot of kickback, right?
heat,
A lot of flack for that. And I don't want to be like in the position where like I'm being like, no, I don't think that's good. Like I don't know, man. I think I'm still figuring it out.
I think everybody.
Clearly, it
is.
sounds like I'm still figuring it out. And I think the only way I'm going to learn it is by doing it.
Right.
But I just think that I don't know. Like if you have a big team that, like you have another owner who makes the executive decision.
Yeah.
Right, and they can over trump me when I'm like, this is a bad idea. I think maybe that's more what I want.
Yeah.
More of like the executive call to be like, no, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
I think that's what I want.
And is that business built off the product that you had showed me?
I'm hoping that it at least gets me in that direction.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll actually be able to exceed to that limit. But I think it's what's going to exceed me further than what my gym is.
Okay.
Because my gym is like, it's me and a worker, and that's all it needs.
Okay, so I think I've heard you, since we're talking about gyms, and I just like watching content. I think you've talked about Alex Hormozy before, too.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of him either, man.
What's all these successful dudes? Why don't you like them?
That's a good question. And what's weird about Alex, I've had so many people recommend him.
Yeah,
He's right
he's
down
in
my
the
alley.
gym.
Yeah,
you know,
he
like
is.
he started Gym Launch. Now he's in acquisition.com. They talk a lot about like business growth and
Well, somebody was telling me that he talks a lot about happiness. Mm-hmm. He does. See, and that's the part of Alex I never got to see. Every episode or every clip of Alex I got to see was him in like a stringer, just being ripped as can be, and like just giving me this business advice. But it was always about like profitability. It was never about like making sure you're fulfilled in life, you're happy in life, helping other people in life, giving back to other people. Those are all things that I value way over money.
Yeah.
Like money's at the bottom of the list, and then there's all these other things: fulfillment, happiness, giving back, making the world a better place, impacting the world. Like those things are way above money. And I just never heard him talk about it. And he actually got me in on, he has a podcast.
Yeah.
It's not his podcast. He started a thing. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like basically like, it's like a networking thing where like they reached out to me and said, hey, we want gym owners on our podcast. And I'm like, okay. And then it was like a webcam style Skype type podcast, but it wasn't Alex. It was some random person. And then I did the podcast with them, and then they're like, oh, would you like to do one, host somebody else sometime? And so I think they're like bringing people in, and like that's how like he's like building this network. But then after it, they're like, oh, we think you might be a good opportunity for this class launch program that we have. So he's trying to like, what it is like he tries to bring me on my podcast, see if I'm a good fit, or bring me on his podcast, see if I'm a good fit. And then they have like this class program where if I sign up with them, anyone can join the program, pay for certain classes, and then they can come to my gym anytime and work out. And I don't work like that.
Gotcha.
Because like mine's 24/7. Anyone that comes in has to fill out a liability release form, has to get an access card.
And this was somebody with Alex Hormozy?
So Alex Hormozy started, I think it might be called Gym Launch.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, he started Gym Launch, and then Gym Launch has like this podcast, and it was a chick from Florida. I think it was.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. I think this is like the Gym Launch model.
Yeah, something.
Where because it sounds like what they do is they go in and they do this whole marketing thing, and they collect a lot of like the upfront stuff, and then you just retain the memberships. So they're like, we're the best at filling gyms, and we can take a gym's revenue and like basically like 3x the revenue. And he talks a lot about like his experience doing that and where he failed gym owners. And I thought that's pretty cool too. He's like, it was great for us because we walked away with a ton of money in our pocket, and then they got to retain all the membership. But then the gym owners would call us and be like, dude, you screwed me. Like, I got all these people. I can't support all these people. So, he's like, I kind of failed them by doing that to them, like just overloading their gyms and promising these things. So,
yeah.
So it sounds like that's what the approach was. Like somebody wanted to try to do the gym launch approach, like with your gym.
Certainly was, but it seemed like a multi-level marketing scheme to me.
Yeah.
Because it was one person that reached out to me, and then it was another person from Florida that interviewed me. And then, they were just trying to put classes in my gym, but I'm a gym in a small town, rural area.
Yeah. And
sure, maybe, people probably use it, but the way my gym's set up, it doesn't work like that. Like random people can't just walk in my gym because I only have a staff 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yeah.
So these other gyms, they probably have classes maybe set up all day long.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're probably blocked out. I don't know. It was just kind of like.
Weren't feeling it.
Yeah. I mean, I can advertise classes. I can get classes in. I don't know where the benefit was. Like, he was gonna like provide a class and people could sign up. Is that how it is?
I don't know the specifics of it. It's been a while since I heard him talk about it, but
it felt very scammy for me.
Gotcha.
And I don't know. I listened to my gut a lot.
Yeah.
And like, because they were pushy too. They were very like the guy kept calling me because
my sales.
Yeah, it is. But I don't like spammy and I don't like pushy.
Yeah.
That's a good way for me just like if you start if I get a random email from a random company selling me their product and I didn't sign up for their emails, it's immediately unsubscribing and then I'm putting them into the spam folder.
Yeah.
So I will never see them ever again.
Right.
Versus like if I go to someone's website and it's like sign up for our email list, get 10% off, and we'll send you deals. Sure, I'm down with that.
Right.
I'll opt into that. But like when the spammy thing or like you tell them no and then they keep calling, I don't know. I don't know. I just got a bad vibe off him. It was weird because so many people like him. So many people like him, and I just.
Well, I mean, I think they're like third owners in that now. They've sold the majority of it off, and like their main thing's acquisition.com now. So yeah.
So he doesn't have anything to do with gyms anymore, or I guess a little bit. But
I mean, I think, like I said, he's I want to say he's like a third owner of Gym Launch now, or maybe even less than that. I don't know. I think he just kind of is like your ideal situation. He comes in, he kind of like sees what they're doing. He's like, yeah, that'll work, that won't, blah blah blah. So that's the idea that I get. So.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't like the guy. I even
because he's jacked.
maybe, dude. Maybe I'm just jealous. I don't know. I even subscribed. Does he have a YouTube? I guess.
I think so. Yeah, he does.
I subscribed to him on TikTok. So I was just watching his TikToks.
Nobody's good on TikTok.
Huh?
Nobody's good on TikTok. I hate
Hey, I'm
everybody's
good on
TikToks.
TikTok.
Well, I guess I'll follow you. I'm not even ever on TikTok.
No, I'm just kidding. It's more easily consumable for me. So that's why I did it. And like Gary Vee's content, I love it. Sure, he talks about business sometimes, but he talks about like just the genuality in business, like the things that business can do. It's not about like, hey, we can make you $1 million. It's like you should go into business because you love what you do and you're helping people out and you're going to make these people happy and you're impacting the world. And like, that's what I love about it all. And it was just like every time I watched Alex, it was just like some stupid video about how I can like make more profits. And it's just like,
yeah, I mean, I think Alex is very,
seemed like his main focus was not helping people, but making money for himself. Like it all like just brought back money for himself. Or
I think he gives a lot of, one of his mottos is something, I don't exactly know, I can't quote him, but he talks about giving your best value for free. Like your best content, giving it for free.
I don't know why it misses me.
I don't know.
It's
funny because like people talk they talk a bunch of shit on Andrew Tate, and then like you see other content where he's like talking about being a good husband and like being a good father, and I'm like, whoa, where'd this come from?
Well, you know what? Okay, so Jake Paul, right?
Yeah.
You know Jake Paul?
Yeah.
He's the problem child, right?
Yeah.
He's this douchebag that everybody hates. Like everybody hates him, but I like him. And
I think he's a D-bag.
Exactly. And
I'll watch him, but
I've watched a lot of his content where like he was going out and buying a jet ski and going down to Katrina when he was super young, 17,
okay,
18
I've heard
years
about
old.
that kind of stuff, yeah.
And he,
helping people. Yeah.
Yeah, helping people for no reason at all. He's this 17, 18-year-old millionaire, superstar, could get any girl he wants, living in a mansion in LA, making all kinds of money. Why is he doesn't have to be help anybody at all, but he is. And so I started seeing stuff like that, and I watched a podcast with him, and he's talking about like some of the stuff he does and how many times he's been sued, and he's like, I've done nothing wrong. I did nothing to these people. They're just they want money out of me, and like I really started paying attention. I'm like, oh, this guy's actually a good dude. Like now he has Boxing for Bullies, which is like
that's cool. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds cool right now.
You should look that up so you can see it. But Boxing for Bullies is a program he started to raise money. I don't know if it's like a charity type thing, but he raises money, and all the money that gets raised goes back to building boxing gyms, or maybe not building them, but improving on the ones that are are currently in business. Because they're always like low funded. The guy that's doing it just was like an old boxer that loves it. He's training kids.
Old infrastructure and
it's like they're just barely getting by, and he's like just sending the money back out to all them. The mission of Boxing Bullies is to instill self-confidence, leadership, and courage within the youth through the sport of boxing while using our platform, voice, and social media to fight back against bullying. So it is a lot about building self-confidence and helping kids out and like teaching them like, hey, this is like a good way to help yourself out at a young age. But I remember watching the video and he was donating stuff back. So it says over $400,000, it has the exact number, but $416,270 in total donations, 450 plus pairs of gloves donated, 5 boxing gym renovations underway. So like I seen that stuff in him, and that's why I was like, oh, this guy is actually a good guy. And he just plays a douchebag to get attention.
Yeah.
And-
Well, and you know, there's the power of branding right there.
Yeah.
And having a following. Because once you have a
Right.
following, you can do whatever you want.
Well, and that's why that was a big reason for me starting this podcast.
Yeah.
Because whenever I knew I wanted to start a product before I ever came up with an idea. And watching Gary Vee, he's like, if you're going to have a product, you need to have some type of following. And watching these guys, I learned like, hey, you can move a lot faster with a following. Because
Yeah.
it's like, if you are a nobody in a sense, right? Like,
Yeah.
There's quotations on that. But if you're a nobody, you have no social media following, you're not in a big city, you don't own a big business, and you go to start a new product.
Who's funding it?
Who's funding it?
Yeah.
Who's your market? How are you reaching this market? You
Yeah.
don't have an email list. You don't have a way to like get this product out there. It's going to be a hard grind.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Like with this product, I'm like, how do I launch this thing? I have nothing.
Yeah.
If I launch tomorrow, who's going to see it? The very small amount of Facebook friends I have. And that's where I'm freaking out the most. Is how do I launch? So that like the book I'm reading right now is called Launch.
Yeah.
They're talking about like pre-launches, pre-launch, launch, post-launch, like everything in it, like how to do it, what's the best steps.
Do I have a copy? Alex Ramosi has a book that I think I bought, but I just ended up listening to. It's like $100 million leads or something like that. Something along the lines of that. And I think that, honestly, the more you talk, I'm like, Alex's content would be good for you.
Really? Dude, it's funny because so many people have told me that. So
Just because he's like a ground up business guy, you know, and like now I think a lot of what acquisition.com talks about or for him, he's like, they try to find businesses that are doing like around, I think it's like 3 million or so in revenue. And they try to bring them from like 3 to 10 and then like 10 to 30, stuff like that. So,
okay.
you know, they're a little bit bigger scale now, but he still talks about like what you're like that fear that you have and getting around that. And like, you know, it's mindset. I feel like,
Maybe I'll give them another try.
yeah. Because here you're like, who am I going to share it to? Facebook? It's like, dude, there's a million different options.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, you could find somebody. You could contact one person that has you could contact somebody with bigger pockets and be like, hey, can you do this product?
See, I just believe that they'll never reach back out.
Why?
I just feel like they're so big that, like, I feel like
You've got a couple
everybody's
contacts that know the host.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's another problem with me is that
Use your leveraging relationships there.
yeah. See,
You
I don't.
know?
That's something I don't like to ever do.
Yeah.
And there is
Well, not in a sense where you're using people,
Yeah.
but to like, because if they're gonna like, if they don't want to do it, they'll just tell you no.
right.
But at least you know. Mm-hmm. At least you got around the hurdle of, oh, this is just going to my Facebook friends.
Yeah, you're right, and I will.
Yeah.
When it comes time, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
But to have the confidence to be like, just to be like, I'm gonna reach out to them. I don't say it out loud.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing. It's like such like a weird mental like self-confidence stupid thing.
Fear of failure.
I don't think
Don't
it's
wanna-
a feel of failure.
Don't want to look stupid. Don't want to feel stupid.
I think like reaching out, I think it's a fear of wasting time. When it comes to reaching out to certain people, I feel like I'm like, I look at the,
It's so funny because Gary Vee talks about being in everybody's inbox, liking their stuff, commenting
I
on
know.
everything.
Dude, I will comment on like Gary Vee stuff, and like sometimes I'm like, if I ever meet this dude, or like I imagine like me being friends with this dude sometime and reading
Yeah.
some of the stupid message I'd probably like
Yeah.
swipe up and comment on.
Yeah.
And I just imagine him like reading it one day, and just like I'll be like, that's so cringe.
Yeah.
I hope it happens. I hope it happens. But yeah, I do. I really do. And honestly, it's like I have like a natural lack of confidence, but I have developed self-confidence over time. And so like the thoughts go through my head, and a lot of times I just have to like literally use the self-confidence that has been learned to beat out the natural fear in my head or the self-doubt in my head.
How often, I mean, aside from like podcasts, like how often are you talking with other people that are running their own business or, you know, kind of in the entrepreneurial space?
Not as much as I want to. I
Yeah.
want to do it every day.
Yeah.
I could seriously. That's why I'm going to that conference soon, but that's also why like I'm joining networking groups. Because I got a networking group that I joined in Rolla. I got the one in Washington now. I've even thought about like starting my own, but that's why like when at the beginning, before we even got in the podcast, I'm like, hey man, you should join this networking group.
Yeah.
Because I just want to be around more people like it because I never know what you're going to get off of it.
Well, dude, there's so many different people I think outside the box, and they don't have the blinders on that you have because you're so focused right here, And I'm like, well, what about this? And somebody else could say the same thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I need.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I want too.
And same like a lot of the times like we're struggling on something that like there's this one business thing, whatever it is, you just like there's times that I've called Anthony and it's a mindset thing. He's like dude, that's easy. It's this or this. And I'm like, oh man, why am I thinking about it that way?
Yeah, I just overthought it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is a lot of it's ADD?
Good
is
question.
That just lack of experience, maybe? Or both, maybe.
I mean, probably both. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, I guess.
I will say, I say like I don't want to reach out, but I do. This Tough Rap company, the owners of it, especially Sonia, one of the I guess she's a co-owner. Her and her husband own it. I have her phone number and I just call her one day and I was talking to her about some products and then I was like, hey, also I have a product that I'm getting ready to make and I was like, I don't even know how to manufacture it or find a manufacturer or like what do I do here or what do I do there and like, I was like I thought she wouldn't want to help at first. Like I was just like, man, like I'm this little bitty guy and she's this massive. They're this massive company. I'm like, she's probably not going to want to give me her time. And we sat on the phone for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And she's like, we didn't know either, right? We reached out, and some work out, some don't. And she helped me a bunch. And it's just like, just doing it helps.
Yeah.
Like just reaching out and trying.
It's funny. This reminds me. So there's a guy that I met at some of these conferences, and he talks about his 33% rule. And he's like, 33% of the people I want to be giving my money to, paying for their time and learning. 33% of the people I want to in my network, I want to be like, are where I'm at. They're sharing the same struggles and pains that I have. And then the other 33% is I want people that are I'm pulling up. And whether that's them paying me or I'm just giving advice for free. And he's like, I'm constantly just a conduit of information. And I like that because it's like, and what you'll find out too, and what I've noticed is people are so willing to just share their story. Because like your struggle that you have, she's like, well, here's how we did it. Here's how it worked for us. Or people want to help.
Yeah.
Especially people in those situations, I found like they want to help. And as long as you're not calling them every day about like a trivial question that you probably should have just Googled and it's like a real like roadblock, then I feel like people are willing to give you some time.
See, and that's where it's at for me too. It's like, is this something like whenever I'm thinking about something, I naturally want to reach out to somebody that I like and trust to get their opinion on it. But I'm like, is this something Googleable? Like, is this something I can find on Google or is this something that is in one of these books I just haven't read yet? And like that's where like talking to Drew, it's very humbling for me because I'll talk to him sometimes and I'll say some stuff to him and he's like, yeah, in this book, they talk about it. And he's like, this is where I learned it from this book. And I'm like, damn it, I should have read it. Like it's my fault, like I'm mad at myself for just not committing to sitting down and learning.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a lot of,
that's a big commitment, though, to sit down and have to read a ton of books.
Is it, though?
I mean...
What's it take, sitting down, start to finish, what's it take to read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Dude, for me...
6 hours, probably.
It'd take me longer.
You think so?
I would just get distracted and I'd set it down. It'd take me
I'm saying
forever
if you
to
could
get
stay
through that.
focused on it.
Yeah, but
what's it take to consume it?
I have no idea.
I think it...
I had to
that's a mental
rewind.
discipline for me, too, in a way.
Yeah.
Like, in my head, I'm like, is it just me just let myself get distracted and just... tell myself.
Yeah.
Like I battle that in my head too.
I try to, because like I've tried to, especially like very early on, everybody talks about morning routines, nightly routines, daily routines, stuff like that. Like I tried to be disciplined in certain stuff, whether it was like eating, going to the gym first thing in the morning, like especially like when I left Boeing, I experimented on a lot of different like routines.
Sure.
And now I try to just remove the resistance. Like if I'm struggling to sit down and just read 10 pages, it's like I just stop doing that.
Sure.
And it's like I know what I do well, and it's listening to podcasts or watching YouTube. Like I can binge on that and I can soak in that information like crazy. So it's like, why not just do that?
Yeah.
Rather than forcing myself to do this thing that I'm not even going to retain. And
as much. My problem is that there is some good. I just feel like there's so many random podcasts and random YouTube videos, and some of them aren't fully there, like they haven't fully learned. Yet, like some books are just like they've taken the time and they've rewrote them and rewrote them and rewrote them, and it took them 2.5 years to write, and and they're going back, they're re-editing them because like something changed and now they're making it better. And I like the fact that it's like I know that like Rich Dad Poor Dad, it is.
Was it you or Drew that said something along the lines of like, I could just basically get coffee with them by sitting down, drinking coffee, and reading the book? Yeah, I was like, that's a cool take.
Yes,
I like that. So
that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. Well, Justin, you want to wrap this up? I bet we're in it a couple hours. Yeah?
Couple hours?
Yeah.
I figured we'd
2.5
talk
hours.
for a while. Man, we just scratched the surface on some of that too.
I know. And maybe we can have you back out. We can talk about
Okay.
it.
I got a couple deals under contract right now, so we can talk about those a different time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll have you back out sometime.
Perfect.
My eyeballs are floating right now, so I do
That's
need to
all
go to the
good.
bathroom. Before you get out of here, I want you to sign my banner.
Of course.
Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you want to like plug or anything like that? Help you out? Not that my channel's that big, but maybe one day.
None that I can think of. Subscribe.
Subscribe. We're at 464 right now, you
464.
guys. So make sure I'm close to 500.
Yeah.
I can see 1,000. Like I can like see the
It'll
light
get
at the end
there.
of the tunnel. Yeah.
Just keep grinding. Keep doing it.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do. Just like with everything.
Repetitions.
All right. So guys, like, subscribe, share. Justin, thank you so much again for coming on the podcast, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.
See you.